Okay, we're going to start streaming. This should work this time. It may not be on the event that we had planned, because just whatever the fuck happened there, I'm not quite sure. But we are now live on the channel. It may not have been the link we had hoped for, but I guess
well.
I guess we're getting there. This is a learning experience for me,
right.
definitely. And this event thing was my first time at it, so you know what? I can live with it.
Cool. Right. In that case,
You know what?
on that bombshell,
I can live with
let's get started.
Great.
I guess. Okay.
Cool. Well, we've had a fun old week. In fact, it's been we haven't really done done much since last week. There was a lot to cover. We didn't cover anything like as much, and there's been a hell of a lot of news in the past. And I thought we would just do a
is that a croissant?
Is what a croissant? Where?
Is that in the bottom?
You know what? That is indeed a croissant. Why?
I was just wondering why, for what reason you might have to place a croissant on the front bit of the live stream. Just seems like an odd choice.
I don't know. It just seemed like something that it just popped into my head as something that might be, something I could put into the background of the picture. Is there a particular problem with the croissant there, Starzy? Do you have anything to comment?
Well,
it's all right.
No,
it's all right.
Nothing.
Nothing. That's okay.
Well,
then we'll move on. As long as everyone's happy that there's a croissant there.
I mean, breaking bread. You can easily break a croissant.
Yeah, it's the bakery. It's the theme.
You know what? For the sake of the viewer, I will disclose. I was dismissed from my work. I was told to fuck off. I had my contract broken because I ate a croissant. There you go. Are you happy with that explanation right there?
Yes.
You didn't. I just can't believe you went ahead and fucking done it. I'm just in shock.
You were in shock by him putting a croissant in the stream. That's what.
Yeah.
That's all it takes to shock
I
you.
hadn't even made it public yet.
There you go.
It's breaking
Fucking
bread,
hell.
dude, and it's a croissant.
Sorry, was that mean? I'm not Google. I didn't agree to not be evil or anything. So
Did Google ever agree to that?
It was their motto for a while. Don't be evil and all of that. So Google. Oh, that's a segue. We're actually meaning to talk about Google. Should we talk about Google? I think we should talk about Google, because it was only the other day, and this is some classic stuff. Apparently, Google have had a document that has been a wee bit leaked, and it looks a little bit like how can I put it? It kind of looks a bit like someone might have stolen an internal document from Google and released it to to Breitbart of all people. So I'm making no claims on its total validity, and that this is absolutely all and above board. But I have had a look through it. It does look kind of like something that that might be the sort of thing that you might see in an actual sort of document, shall we say.
It's the kind of thing you'd expect a bunch of fucking techies to sit around at a meeting feeling good about themselves and have a look through and go, yeah, woo! Pat themselves on the fucking back and say, yeah, I'm all for this. That's the kind of document it lends itself off to.
It's yeah. Well, shall I just? I'm just going to transition this over there so we can see. Shall we start with the good name of it? The Good Censor, like the Good Wife, but more Stalin-y.
Oh, but Trig, it's good to censor things. Some things people can't handle.
Yeah,
Man,
some
I
people
feel
are way too
really good
sensitive,
about
man.
myself.
I'm sure. Well, I mean, it's I don't know. So is this their actual thing? Cultural Context Report, March 2018. So it looks like it was a release, done earlier this year. They probably held these presentations out, and then it's been leaked by somebody who went, "Oh my God, this is horrifying." Because I'll tell you what now. As I said, I've looked through it. It's 85 pages. It's 85 pages. It's 85 slides. It's fairly quick and simple to munch through these things. Because corporate slides are very rarely much more than a little page of information, couple of paragraphs, or usually just a phrase. And they've started this whole, can Google protect free speech and police harmful content from elections and political propaganda, trolls and gender bigotry, etc., etc., etc. Basically an opening statement, and
Bad things exist.
and then some
We must
reports.
censor them.
They show you these sort of general maps, and it looks all very corporate, and you think, oh yes, okay. Nobody actually knows what the hell this really means, though. And expert reviews, and basically they've had 3 people look at a load of stuff. That's what this means. Oh, these cultural local leaders. So what we've got there, seven people plus 21 micro observers, 3 per market. So that's 7 people, and then 3 people underneath each one of those 7 people. That's not a massive study even then. And they've worked with some local leaders and thinkers. Again, these same people. These are the same people that were mentioned up here at the top there. And
There's a noticeably empty continent on that map.
there is a very noticeably empty continent on that map. We'll get there.
What are those micro observers?
These are just people that are, how can I say, are working for Google and have made some research into the whole deal with, shall we look at free speech or shall we censor it? So this is a total of 21 plus 7, so 28 plus 3, 31 people in total. This is 31 people in total that are going to make the decision, in their opinion, to censor us so that we're nice. Yeah, that's what we're going for here. That's 31 people making the decision for a massive, gigantic global company like Google on how they can phrase it so they're censoring stuff for everyone's benefit. And then they'll go on. They've got this 5-point page that comes up every now and then. The importance of free speech, bad behavior and censorship online, fighting back against the bad behavior online. I don't know what they exactly determine is bad behavior. Tech firms, free speech or censorship, and how do people want Google to respond to this predicament? With free speech, individuals can hold the powerful to account. Now we've become powerful, we don't like that. Oh, sorry, I didn't say that. They certainly didn't,
No,
I'm sure.
it's the quotation marks
The
on
power.
the powerful.
Yeah, as soon as it got to there, I was laughing.
Yeah. Freedom to speak holds the key to our 2 most valuable possessions: personal liberty and collective well-being. Okay. But censorship can give the governments and companies the power to limit the freedom of individuals. So at this point, we're going, oh yeah, absolutely. Freedom of speech is absolutely essential, and it's underpinned by the First Amendment and the belief in equality statement in the field of ideas. The US is especially committed to freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is it's one of the key founding blocks of the civilization in which we live. Conversations about the importance of free speech are alive on both sides of the political spectrum. The internet was also founded on utopian principles of freedom of speech.
I feel like you're
Governments are-
piling through this, but the collective well-being.
Oh yeah,
I'm confused on exactly what they mean by that. Do they mean the well-being of all?
the well-being of all the
of-
people that are able to. Yeah, it's a bit commie sounding, I will grant you, but
Yeah.
it's a left-wing company phrasing it. It's
Well-
it's well-being. It's the pursuit of happiness is what they're trying to say.
Yeah, but are they? Do they know what the collective well-being is?
They
Are they
don't have
gonna
a
act like?
freaking clue.
Are they gonna act like they actually know what their control? They're gonna believe that any difference, then every change they make and all that is gonna be towards the collective well-being of
Yep.
people.
Dude, don't get hung up on collective well-being. They're saying freedom
Nah.
of speech is good for the collective well-being of mankind. I tend to agree with that statement, sort of prima facie. It's
Okay,
it's a
Yes.
very left-wing phrasing of
Well, it doesn't say it's no, it doesn't say it's good for it. It says that those two things hang in the balance of it,
yeah.
Yeah.
which
In the balance.
go back to that page.
No,
But-
it's the freedom of
not
speech
that far back.
holds the key to our two most valuable possessions: personal liberty. This is basically the pursuit of happiness, and life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Yeah, I
Craig
would
just
I would
called you
agree.
out.
Yeah, they've just phrased it in a goddamn almost Stalinist collective well-being. I know. Don't get hung up. Don't get hung up on that shit though, because it.
See, it holds the key to our two most
Well,
valuable
I'm not
possessions.
getting hung up on it. I'm saying that what they go on to say
Yeah.
is quite clearly anti
Yes.
that statement.
I was going to say let's get into it because yeah, it's sort of. Where are we? Where are we? Here we go.
You're kind of skipping past quite a lot. You're just reading it off.
No, I'm
And
no, I'm
not
giving
even-
I'm giving you the presentation they would give. Yeah, this is a corporate
Yeah.
presentation. I have given more corporate presentations than well, maybe not you have had hot dinners, Stuzzy, but maybe Cope.
No, I've had my fair amount of presentations and classes like this, but you need to look past the presentation of it and more about what
Oh.
they're actually trying to say.
Yeah, but at this point, up until slide 17, they are basically going to say freedom of speech is good. Okay. Yeah. Censorship can give governments and companies the power to limit the freedoms of individuals. It's got right here. As I said, it's all really, really pro freedom of speech for the next for the first 17 slides. There is nothing here that I disagree with in any way, shape, or form. Don't touch my internet. The internet is freedom of speech. The
Sacred.
reason we ban speech is when it's intended and likely to cause imminent violence, because it's yet the best remedy to evil counsels is good ones. That counter speech is more appropriate than sun suppression, and that reason will ultimately prevail. It is the essence of our constitutional system. This is all highly laudatory of freedom of speech, and I'll hear nothing other. The internet was also founded upon these utopian principles, and it goes on, and it goes on. Facebook and Google are providing unbiased, accurate, and free access to information, more honest and transparent dialogue around government. Yeah, Twitter is the free speech wing of the Free Speech Party. CEO Dick Costilio, 2017. That was last year. Twitter was the free speech wing of the Free Speech Party. Oh, how times have changed.
No, because even back then they weren't.
Oh, I know, absolutely, I know.
Maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe. Not last year. Jesus.
And again, an important federal statute from 1997 supports the position of neutrality for tech companies. They are able to maintain neutrality. They are protected to a degree. Great. Fantastic for them. And the internet has certain unique qualities that have supported these further ambitions. It's created amazing things around the world, like the Arab Spring. I'm not quite sure why it's calling the Arab Spring, because that worked out really badly for a lot of people. And these days we're not quite sure whether it was positive, because it's been a lot of killing ever since. Anyway, free speech flourished online and governments struggled to contain it. Again, I'm not saying anything bad here. And
No,
then, but recent global events have undermined this utopian narrative. Donald Trump got in, and people were mean to Leslie Jones. It says it right here, right at the top, in the fucking front and centre. You've got some Ferguson arrest and people dying over here in Kashmir, but no, Leslie Jones and Donald Trump are the world's biggest catastrophe. Nothing more important than those two happening in 2016, and therefore freedom of speech, that utopian ideal, that born of the founding fathers of America and on liberty and all of these great thinkers like John Locke and John Stuart Mills, who
Okay.
who brought this forwards, and for hundreds of years we've had it, but someone was mean to Leslie Jones and Donald Trump got in, so fuck this freedom of speech thing, this has to go. Essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, let's be fair, Logan Paul. Logan Paul is an actual reason. I completely wholeheartedly agree.
Holy shit. Logan Paul.
Logan Paul is a reason to ban freedom of speech, and you know what? I'm convinced. I was a libertarian until I saw that twat in that silly green hat, and yes, he has to go.
Well, hey,
My
Trick, on
God,
the bright
what?
side, we can put him in the we can put him in the tags now. Get away with it.
It's a good idea.
But yeah, but it's the way they're like some of those issues if you scroll up, but like
Yeah, the
they
Kashmir
were
thing,
talking
that's
about-
major.
yeah.
Ferguson unrest, that's major, but no, front and centre, Leslie Jones, Donald Trump.
Like with the Donald Trump, their excuse was Russian bots got in, and it's like, how is that a free speech issue?
I know.
They're just like Russian bots.
Wait, hold on. That description doesn't even say bots. It says Russian.
No,
entities.
Russian-based.
Russian-based entities.
But they don't
that would
say
include
people.
Russians.
Eh. So, so they weren't bots. So how have they broken free
Uh-huh.
speech in any way?
I
Yeah. What?
It shows the effect of fake news because
and-
Russians were capable of speaking.
Or bigger point for your case, correct, is it's foreign influence.
So after giving these main 8, they give another 2 reasons, as slightly lesser ones that I feel they come in. Revelations and
elaborate.
exposes increased calls for change. Fucking ISIS? Yes, I would agree. That's one of the reasons they should have had this one right in the middle at the top. But no, this is number 9 in their list. ISIS. And Peppa Pig parodies. I don't know if you remember that these were nasty. I was a bit sort of, whoa. Tim Pool covered it. People were taking Peppa Pig parodies and making Peppa Pig drink bleach along with Minnie the Mouse and Hitler dancing. Weird.
Yes. No.
Fucked up
that's-
shit. But
That's not fucked up. The whole point
No,
of
it
that
was pretty
content is
fucked
to
up.
be as weird as possible. Like the Hitler dancing, the guy who created it literally just has like a template, and he just accesses models and puts models in different places. Sometimes it's Mickey Mouse, sometimes it's like monkeys and shit. And then he eventually got bored and just started putting random shit like Hitler in. So yeah, it's weird and it's a bit dark, but it's not abusive. It's not exactly
oops,
it's not harmful in any real way, unless you count it as children's content, which it isn't.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, lost the fucking screen for a second. Oh, we'll get to
I,
other things later.
I don't think age filters are quite as ridiculous as outright censorship. I mean,
Yeah,
age
I
filters
know.
are kind of useless because you can get around those incredibly easily.
Yeah, but
I
you know
don't
what?
disagree with age filters.
But like,
I don't
I
disagree.
understand
Yeah.
websites saying, okay, yeah, here, yeah, tell us you're an adult, so we're not. So
It's
you
not
know,
just that,
it's
dude.
your fault if you see.
It's not just that. It's that I'm not a parent, but if I were a parent and I had a 5 or 6 year old daughter or son, yeah, I would want there to be sites and places that I could allow my kid to operate a basic cut down access to the internet and enjoy a the occasional Peppa Pig comic or whatever, Aquanauts, anything like that. That's nice, harmless, good. It's good for kids. I don't want them exposed to weird urine fetishes. That I there is
I mean, I'm just saying, but it could be useful for them to learn about ISIS
no,
propaganda.
no, no.
No, it really wouldn't.
No, dude.
My 3-year-old son ain't
Dude,
gonna
I don't want a
understand.
5-year-old child exposed to watching someone having his head cut off. Some of this
Well,
ISIS
I mean,
propaganda. Nah, dude,
there's
no, no,
more
no,
kid-friendly,
no, 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 no,
there's
no,
more
no, no. You're
child-friendly
fucking
propaganda.
mental if you think you should expose kids to ISIS propaganda. You're fucking
I'm not
mental.
talking about beheadings. I'm just saying
How do we
propaganda, like the
know?
fancy
How do
music.
how do I fucking know what the music what's in the thing unless I've watched it before? Where at what point? ISIS aren't nice people. If they put a bit of
Well, they have,
ISIS
like, the.
music and it looks all nice, oh we'll let
You've
that
seen
through. Oh Christ, they're
No,
beheading someone at the end. Yeah, these
well,
guys are
no,
fucking
it's not
scum.
music.
Fucking
It's not
bomb them.
music. It's a nasheed. Okay, that's an important
I don't
distinction.
fucking
Yeah.
care
as
what it is. It's a
Quran.
fucking noise.
I don't want my fucking son, my 3-year-old son, to be dancing to a Clash of Swords.
Yeah, no,
Thanks.
no,
Like,
Salillah
no,
Salim.
yeah, no. Fuck that. Fuck you. Fuck that.
No.
Fuck ISIS.
Nah, that's
Fuck ISIS and
yeah.
their fucking faggy fucking asses. Bunch of
Well,
fucking.
okay, if you don't
Sounds like
expose
your
it to them on
Western.
the internet, then how are you gonna? Then what are you gonna tell your kid to do when
What's
they meet
the
an
fuck
ISIS
ever? We're
trooper?
not getting bogged down on whether ISIS are good or not,
When,
Korak.
when
Jesus
he was-
I
fucking
wasn't
Christ.
asking if they're good. I'm saying that, like, if you don't
You're-
teach your kids about drugs, they'll not know what to do when a drug dealer
Yeah,
comes up to them.
dude. I want to teach my kids, if I had any, as they were young, I want to teach them at the rate that I want to teach them about the fucking evils of the world. Yeah? I'm not letting YouTube expose them to fucking scat porn and fucking ISIS beheadings just because I haven't fucking.
No.
No,
That's not my position.
No, it sounded like you were going, oh, like, well, this is on the internet. Yeah, I believe the internet is something that should be,
No, I said propaganda.
Yes! Yes! Have you not seen ISIS propaganda? It's really fucking disgusting.
Yes, I've seen ISIS propaganda that isn't disgusting. It's just like silly training montages where they're doing a terrible job of shooting their guns.
Yeah. There's other stuff, dude. That's the fucking stuff that gets through the fucking filters.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
there is other stuff out there that's very nasty. Frankly, they can all fuck off, as far as I'm concerned. You start beheading people, you lose your right to freedom of speech at that point. I'm sorry, you gain one right. When you start beheading people on the internet, you gain one right. You gain the right to get your fucking ass blown up, shot and murdered by a military force of your choice. That's my personal standpoint on, terrorists. If you disagree, you're welcome to. No, ISIS can fuck themselves.
Jesus. Right. Okay. Shall we calm down a little bit? Right.
Well, I concede the point.
this is all Google's. This is all
Yes.
Google's
Yeah. So,
fault anyway.
but Google, it's 9 and 10 for them anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So whatever.
again,
Getting back
I
on
think
point.
There's a massive difference between ISIS
Hmm.
propaganda and a Peppa Pig parody.
And Donald Trump getting in because
And
they
Donald
don't like
Trump getting in, and
Bec-
Logan Paul.
him. That's yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. This is some slight conflation going off. No.
Jesus Christ.
Should probably clarify, I was joking. I don't actually advocate showing children ISIS propaganda.
You just thought, oh, I know, I'll say this and watch Trig explode. Yes, yeah, fair enough. Well done.
Well, no, I was arguing devil's advocate without going too extreme. I was just, oh man. Anyway, go on.
Whew. Okay, right.
Are we all chilled out now? Can we?
No.
Can we take?
No, I'm currently let's just shoot all the ISIS people. Anyway,
Alright.
Real controversial opinions here, guys.
yeah.
Hot
Mavericks.
takes.
That's it.
I can say that because Logan Paul's going to be in the text. Anyway, let's continue.
Right. Okay. So we're not responsible for what happens on our platform's defense crumbles. Yes, because you keep on fucking censoring some people and not others. Therefore, you're clearly taking a side on some things and not others, and it's
Wait.
undermining their own process on that one.
Are they essentially saying to themselves, "Our defense isn't good enough"?
Yes.
Are they telling themselves that they need to do more work?
Well, yes, this is an internal memo.
This isn't. Yeah.
So they were.
Yes, they are
I
that
don't-
much of moral busybodies.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
they're such moral busybodies that they would rather than improve their site, would rather look to
Well, no.
essentially give themselves more work than they're worth.
We've not gone to conclusions as to what they should do yet. At this point,
No.
this is the second third of the second quarter of the thing where it's going to take us through a journey. It's going to go. Freedom of speech is great, but we found these problems and they're a bit icky. We don't like them. We don't like. In fact, we really don't like them, and we don't like them a lot because of these reasons. And that's why we should censor them. And that's the whole journey. That's the whole arc. It's going to take you through, and then it's going to give you some nice, very nice sounding, very reasonable things at the end that we're all going to have difficulty agreeing with or disagreeing with in the way they're phrased. So we're just going to be mindful of that because that's how these fuckers work. It's worded well for a reason. And again, the importance of free speech, bad behaviour, blah blah blah. We've seen this slide before. This slide comes up again and again. What's driving this Ferrari around free speech and censorship online? You fuckers, you keep censoring people. The earlier utopian period of the internet has collapsed under the weight of bad behaviour. Users, governments, and tech firms are all behaving badly. I feel like we're being told off by someone's grandma here. You've been mean to people on the internet. You've been trolls. You've been taking people's details that they gave you freely, and then you've been mean. I mean, it's just.
To be fair, we put Trump in the White House, so they're pretty upset about that.
They're
still.
pretty upset about that. They're really sore about that one, aren't they?
I just don't understand how they mean bad behavior. Oh, I see on the next slide.
Yes, this is it. This is where the bad behavior comes in. There, this is how we're behaving badly. We're using hate speech. Although people have long been racist, sexist, and hateful in many other ways, I'm not totally agree with that.
Blah blah blah. Yeah. Okay, we get it.
The
Hate speech
example they
bad.
give.
We know.
They
like
weren't
hate
always
speech.
as empowered by the internet to recklessly express their views with abandon. From film stars to activists to viciousness is aimed at a diverse range of users. In other words, for the first time ever, average Joe on the screen, on the streets, has been able to go onto the internet and tell some opinionated twat that's got really big audience, some film star, some maybe just Leslie Jones was being assaulted on Twitter. Apparently, we all know what that was. That was Milo Yiannopoulos making a fairly mean joke about her looking like a black dude, and then the whole of Twitter thought it was hilarious, and they all sort of piled on and carried on with the joke. And this is sacred class. This is a film star, an untouchable, suddenly getting abuse from the dirty common people, and that's hate speech. That's bad behaviour. Bad peasants. Right. So. How dare we dare express our opinions to entitled self-opinionated twats? I mean, people.
Yeah,
I'm an entitled self-opinionated twat too, so you know. But people are entitled to tell me to bollocks as well.
The reason most of these famous actors get, fucking lambasted is because they're well known.
Yes.
Because more people know about them. And when you're on a platform like Twitter or YouTube or Facebook, people are going to go and see you because you're on there, on that platform, just to see you. And whether they like you or hate you, they'll post a comment of some sort.
Absolutely. But when you've got someone with a big following like that saying and acting like a complete dick, then they pick up more because they've got so many people following them. So when they say something horrifying, like kill all white people or something, then people start going, what? So anyway,
well, they don't need to do that, but yes, that will cause more people to come after you.
Yeah, so it's reprisals and intimidation. Now we're actually going to sort of run into things here that is fairly accurate. On and offline worlds are blurring. More people are physically assaulted for speaking on the net. In 2017, a Christian cartoonist was murdered in Jordan for mocking Islamist militants. their version of heaven, rather, while a journalist was killed in Myanmar for using Facebook to post about corruption. And yeah, we're very used to now seeing fucking psychopaths reading, hearing, seeing something in print or some format, and going bananas and shooting up a journalist's office, sort of like Charlie Hebdo. It's not unusual
Okay,
for
all
crazy
right.
people to get upset about stuff.
Yes, but these are governments and militant
Terrorists.
activists going out and killing these people. It's not the average day Joe who said, "Man, I hate you. You're a bad actor.
Yes.
Stop saying kill all white people," who is going out and committing these crimes.
Yeah,
It's
but-
governments and
But
terrorists.
what they're saying here is this is a if we protect you by stopping you from saying mean things about these people, they won't come and get you. So if you can't say anything about Islamists that's mocking, if we take that down and stop you from doing it, the Islamists won't come and kill you. It's for your own benefit after all.
Oh, good. I'm sure before the
Journalist was
internet
killed for
existed, that's
exposing
how it
corruption,
worked.
so let's censor journalists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
No.
oh well, we'll get to that particular issue a little later because whoa, that's been going off as well. So shall we plow on through because this is a particular this one's a bit of a stab to the heart here. Apparently, bad behaviour on the internet is trolling. By provoking arguments and flaming disruption, trolls threaten valuable debate and infuriate users. The problem has become so rampant that several websites have resorted to removing comments entirely. Now, I bet
What,
you
you
can
mean
guess.
like your website?
Yeah.
Google. You mean like, I don't know, YouTube? You know?
It's yeah. I was gonna say, as someone, I used to consider myself almost, trolling people on forums and just generally going, no, your idea is stupid, and here's why, and I'm going to make fun of you a little bit about it because of that. That's normal human behavior. That's how we talk to each other. Some people don't like that. Other people do. It's bants most of the time. And if people can actually accept where they've maybe made a mistake and come back and you end up making friends with people and sort of having good discussions and arguments. And yes, some people get stuck on their own little things and get very, very upset about it. But I I think this whole thing of trolling's it's become such a blurry term these days because it's actually internet bullying is often a term I get
Yeah.
conflated with trolling, and I don't think
If
it's
it
the
makes
same.
them feel negative emotions, it's classed as bullying.
Yeah. If they don't
Fuck
like
off, D.
to hear what you say,
Yeah.
it's bullying, it's harassment, and you're trolling them.
Yeah. Oh, well, anybody that thinks that trolling is bullying and all of that lot, they have to stay out of politics. They have to stay out. In fact, they should find a nice safe space with a teddy bear and some padded walls and a nice jacket. I believe the straight ones are really really comfortable, and then just find some medication and kiss their lives goodbye because they can't deal with the real world.
No, Tariq, I think it should. One step should not be employing them in Google. Is probably a good idea. That's probably a start.
It's difficult to find out that you're employing these people, and you can't, and I won't start.
Let's talk about firing the people who are going to review this to see if they should take the video down.
Yeah, I mean it's the whole. I will not agree with looking into people's personal lives and going, this person has incorrect beliefs, therefore don't employ them. That's a rabbit hole I will not go down. But anyway, more how users are behaving badly. Cyber
Oh dear.
harassment, cyber racism, and venting.
You're not allowed to vent. You're not allowed to go. I don't know. Maybe you're in a game, right? You're playing, I don't know, fucking CS:GO, and you're like, Christ, I just can't seem to fucking aim today. Fuck's sake! And you just start shouting at the other users. That's badly behaving. That's
Here's the thing, though. I saw an Onion article only the other day that this pick a random poor innocent idiot on the internet and just attack them, go after them, and find others to join you who are also angry at the moment. I'm fairly certain I saw that exact phrase in an Onion article the other day. I think I don't know. I've got a sneaking suspicion that they might be using stuff from the Onion inadvertently in their actual document and not realizing that people have been taking the piss. I mean, people vent.
yeah. People
Oh.
sometimes need to vent, and sometimes the internet's the only place they can do it.
Cyber racism exists in many guises.
Yeah, I like the just the first line under that.
Supremacy, destiny, and nationalism. Good God.
I like how they.
I'm
Why have
not
they
even
put
touching
destiny
that.
in there?
I'm gonna end up with people fucking chanting that alongside blood and soil or something. Christ. Okay, otherness, separation, and hostility. Cyber racism exists in many guises, but it most often describes a range of white supremacist movements in Europe and North America, and the new horizons the internet and digital media have opened for them. Are they talking about the alt-right here? Is this
Well,
a
the
thing about the
quote,
alt-right, or is this gamers? Because I've this could be
Gamers rise up. Gamers, supremacy, destiny, and nationalism. Gamers rise up.
otherness, separation, and hostility.
Veronica won't see it coming. Get Chad.
Fuck Veronica. Stacy's where it's at. I'm telling you.
Tell you what, cyber racism does sound pretty damn futuristic. God damn.
Well, Craig was asking earlier if that's gonna be a mod for Cyberpunk in the chat.
Yes, I think so. I think so. In fact, I think yeah, it's the first DLC they're bringing out. No, sorry,
Ooh,
cyber
that was
harassment
official,
is
that'd
the
be
first
cool.
one they're bringing out. That's right, cyber racism is the second DLC.
Well, no, that's when they add online mode.
Cyber harassment, from petty name calling to more threatening behavior, harassment is an unwelcome component of life for all too many users. I mean, that's just this Discord server.
Yeah. 40% of internet users have been harassed online. No, I think this definition of harassment they must be using is off.
Yeah,
Because when you're being harassed online, it's generally someone or a group of people are coming after you day after day after day after day after day, and they're not stopping, and it's just escalating every single time you encounter them.
Mhm.
It's not someone called me a bastard in a comment on a YouTube video.
You see, yeah, you could use Twitter once and say something once to Donald Trump. Make a comment about Donald Trump, whether pro him or against him, to any one of his statements. And you will get at least 10 people telling you you're wrong in very unpleasant ways, probably. The thing is with cyber harassment, the thing is with all of this stuff, with cyber racism, cyber harassment, etc., it takes the willingness of oneself to actually go to these places where this can happen. You're not going to get cyber harassment buying stuff off Amazon. You're not going to get cyber racism, watching a YouTube video. You're not going to get people harassing you. You might see someone expressing some opinions on YouTube, sure, but you personally are not going to get harassed unless you are actively making content and putting stuff out there in the first place. Not saying you shouldn't do that, I'm saying you should do that, but if you do that, people are going to disagree with you.
To be fair, we are asking for it.
Fucking
Yeah,
damn it.
with every comment you make, every tweet, and every video you post, you're gonna expect some sort of backlash. You're not gonna have a perfect run every time because not everyone thinks exactly as you do.
The real question is, what were you wearing when you posted that?
Short shorts. I always wear short shorts.
And a tank top.
Yeah.
No bra.
Let's see, I have a t-shirt and like running shorts.
You know, I'm a big lad, so that tank top didn't fit very well anyway.
Ooh, I don't want to think about that. Right.
Right.
This is the next. Oh, the why. The why. Why are users behaving badly? Because human beings en masse don't behave very well. Basically, they particularly don't behave very well when there aren't clear rules, and especially if speech is unaccountable, consequence-free, and in many cases anonymous. What happened on these networks is that, in the absence of rules and consequences, everyone behaved maximally badly. In other words, people actually expressed themselves.
Were they bombing
And that means
airports?
that people are occasionally dicks to each other. Yes. Jason Pontin, fuck off, you cock.
Right, but no. What was the consequence of these people being unaccountably, expressing themselves? What is the
4chan.
consequence
The
of
worst
that?
has ever happened with people expressing themselves, without consequence is 4chan. And
Well,
frankly,
to be fair, they did drive Shia LaBeouf over the edge that he was already falling off.
Shia LaBeouf Catch with the Flag was one of the greatest moments in internet history. I will grant you that. But this is it. It's like, why are people behaving so badly? Because they're not following my rules. Jason Pontin, just go
Suck
a
my
dick.
left nut.
Yeah, what a you. Oh, you can't
Yeah.
see me giving him the fucking biggest finger in the. Oh, you fucking fuck that guy. The same
it's
reasons
like
why
he's-
the internet is great for free speech mean it's also primed for bad behavior.
We're gonna need to kick someone from our chat. He did some hate speech.
Good. What does it mean?
No, it was Craig.
He said Jason,
Craig.
more like
Craig.
Gayson.
Has harassed me. He is being hate speechful. You know what? Kick Craig, to be honest.
Yeah, she should be careful.
We
about
don't need
that
this
sort of-
toxic of an audience.
I know,
Yeah.
it's a disgrace. I just, no, we do. I don't. As long as he's hit that subscribe button, smashed that bell, and smashed that thumbs up like, then he's all good with me. And yeah, I went there.
Don't forget to share on your Discord. Don't forget to share on Facebook.
Yeah.
Share
Yeah.
it on your YouTube. Share
fact-
it on.
In fact, if you're a member of any Discord servers, this should be in their main channel right now, being spammed. Get yourself locked up by the mods for spamming. Don't worry, I'm probably one of those mods. I'll
You should
unthink.
definitely. Yeah, I'm not sure you're allowed to advocate spamming, but I would recommend spamming it in Minecraft.
Yeah, don't spam. Don't spam. Just
Go in
once or
every
twice.
Minecraft server,
yeah.
post it.
Absolutely.
Well, Trig, I know you're quite a mod for quite a large Discord server. Hey,
No.
maybe you should post it in there.
I'm not doing anything with regards those servers that I may or may not be a mod for, because that would be terrible behavior and
Abuse of your power, maybe. But
power.
something you would never do.
Power.
You're a good boy.
I wield power subtly, like a surgeon with a scalpel, not a mallet.
Well, we've already shown the ability to influence our audience.
Yeah.
Craig declared that he'll spam it in Roblox. So
Awesome.
anyway, now in the future, if our audience does anything terrible or terroristic, we are responsible.
Are we?
No,
I'm
100%
not
of
re- I'm not
responsibility
owning up
goes
to
towards
responsibility
Trigger
for
Hippie.
that.
He is the one who owns this channel, and it's named after him. Yep.
Dude, I can make a whole video about how I got terrorized on Roblox.
And groomed.
Oh,
Groomed.
good God! Don't even coat. Just
Anyway, wait, we're way
On
off
to the next
topic.
yeah. Speaking of users behaving badly, why are these fuckers using? Yes, because communication is fast and frictionless, relentless, 24/7 online conversations.
Hey,
Encourage
did you
people.
just segue from a topic back to the same topic?
Yes, he
Yes.
did. But
You made
ignoring
a segue
that,
from moving
but-
to the topic right back to itself. That
right, yes, no, shut up, correct.
Yes,
You
yes.
just-
You're
The
not the host of this show.
the essential segue was shut up, coat rack.
Right.
Don't
Anyway,
make me
segueing
mute
back.
you. I haven't
Come on, this is
muted
cheating.
anyone yet. Oh God. So, well, yeah, basically, communication, we can now talk to people 24/7. So we can dive in with our opinion, and before it's too late, even if they're misinformed, and because we think our emotional brain, before our rational one, some people do. Yeah, instant responses amplify emotion-led discourse, not thoughtful debate. I totally fucking disagree with that. That is
I
drivel.
I I can agree with that, but then that does not make your censorious attitudes any less emotionally driven rather than rationally.
Yeah.
It's no different if you're willing to shut someone up
We sit here
because
night after night having fairly rational, sometimes evidence-led debates and conversations about all sorts of stuff here. Maybe it's the influence of having such high-quality people around me, but
oh,
I don't
thanks.
totally.
Aww.
Yeah, fuck you
Yeah,
guys.
I
Gay.
driveling. When did I say driveling?
Well,
Right.
you just did.
Shut up.
So yeah.
That was
Anyway,
hilarious 'cause he was
anyway,
just
that
tricking you into saying that.
before we start having group hugs and taking
Right.
long showers together, let's move on. Conflict can be anonymous.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I should probably clarify. During the first episode, I was lying. I'm not Jewish. Anyway,
Right, yeah. Okay.
it seemed on topic. Go on.
I feel lied to.
I'm okay. Conflict can be anonymous. Yes, fantastic. We can be mean to really powerful people and say things, and they can't strike back at us quite as easily. The David and Goliath scenario has been evened out.
Yes, but
But we're not allowed to
What
be
they can
anymore.
respond just as easily as you can post.
yeah, no, they can be as
Without
anonymous
honestly
as
lying,
well.
I guess.
Exactly.
Like,
That's it.
No one is forcing any, actor or popular person, a public figure, to get a Twitter account. No one's forcing them to make a YouTube or anything
You know.
with their name attached to it.
You know what,
No
guys?
one's forcing them to do that.
I know. And here's the thing that really gets me. And you guys have grown up around the internet. It's pretty much always been a part of your life. And
Yep.
for the older generations,
Oh, like you.
yeah, like myself, yeah, I was all grown up when the internet happened, and the idea, the concept that suddenly here was a technology where I, the little guy, could write on a message board, and anybody in the world that had the access to the internet could actually find that information and read it. It was the first time that the little guy could publish something and reach a worldwide audience. This is so new. This is so groundbreaking for the human consciousness. It's untrue. The idea of being able to tweet at the President of the United States of America is something that somebody in the 80s, in the 1980s, we're not talking 1880s, we're just talking 40 years ago now. Yeah, that concept was just impossible to happen. The idea that I could say something and yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger might read it on his phone and go lol and like that's impossible. That's almost impossible for people to believe until the 90s happens. And the fact that these kids that are talking about, these guys are in their 30s, their 40s, they're my age and younger, yeah? The idea that they want to have the power to, well, that person's saying something that I think's a little mean, so I want to gag him. No, fuck you guys. Yeah? Fuck you
Kinky.
guys with a giant fucking glowing red hot poker from this furnace over here. We're gonna sear your asshole so fucking badly it's untrue for thinking this shit. You let everybody fucking speak. Even if you don't like it. Especially if you don't like it. 'Cause I want to hear what they don't what they want to say. If they want to say something I don't like, I want to know. Because as it points down here, the next point, everyone has a voice. That's terrible, apparently. Everyone can shout loudly, apparently.
Yeah.
They don't like this. How? I could almost get upset and teary about this shit. How they're trying to do this
Before you
to
move to the
people.
next, wait, go back to the page about the everyone has a voice.
Everyone has a voice. The little guys and girls can now be heard. As I was just rambling, eminent
Well, no, there
emerging
was something
talents.
on there that was.
Yeah, let me read through it. Revolutionaries, whistleblowers, and campaigners. But everyone else can shout loudly too, including terrorists, racists, misogynists, and oppressors. And because everything looks like a New York Times on the net, it's harder to separate fact from fiction. Legitimacy from illegitimacy. Novelty from history. And positivity from destructivity. Is that a word?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that the list that starts with terrorists and ends with oppressors, in the middle has racists and misogynists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Comparing
understand.
comparing the people who you literally oppress their population or go and bomb airports to people who don't
It-
like their
yeah.
next door neighbor for being.
To
Yeah.
people who voted Trump. Yeah, it's quite the gap.
It's a
The
bit of a
quite
it's a bit
leap
of a jump.
logic.
It's a hell of a conflation. And yeah, so the little guys and little girls can now be heard, but the terrible people can as well. Good, good, because those terrible people have mums and dads that think they're their little boys and little girls too. It's called a difference of opinion, and without getting into the racists or sorry, the terrorists or freedom fighters, uh, depending on point of view, which is a valid argument sometimes. Who gets to decide these things? Misogynists. Where's the misandrists there? What about the women that hate all men? Oh, no, they're fine. They're lovely people. We can't say anything about that. Half our writing crew are those people. Misandrists are just as bad as misogynists. Tell me I'm fucking wrong. Fight me on it.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you're
don't
wrong
think
actually
anyone.
because they have even less of a reason. And no, I'm kidding. We're not going the MGTOW route again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, when I read that, I found it ironic they were mentioning oppressors in the context of talking about removing people's
I know.
free speech.
I know.
Yeah,
But
I know.
also, but even further though, they're talking about oppressors. So I assume by that they mean like tyrannical governments.
Yeah.
What are they going to do about that? The
I know.
oppressors are always
Dude,
able to
dude.
speak freely.
I know. That's horrible. I mean, you're spotting tiny little details. This whole thing is laden with this shit. Yeah, they've tied up Donald Trump as the number one reason on their fucking page, and had ISIS as the number 9 reason. A lot.
Trump like 2. Anyway.
Well, it was front and center, is what I'm saying.
yeah.
There's lots of little imagery usages, phrases in the right places that leads you to understand where they're coming from, but it's hidden to the the general guy or girl that will be sat there, probably of like mind anyway, and these things slip through because as far as they're concerned, as you say, racists and misogynists are just as bad as terrorists and oppressors to these people because they've been told it over and over and over again. But racists are, well, we don't even need to get into that one, do we? Not yet. We meet like-minded people on the internet. That's great, unless we're a Nazi. And then we're meeting more Nazis, and that's terrible, is what it says over here. Or words to that effect. Because the internet helps people to bunker down, surround themselves with similar opinions. Echo chambers, maybe. Yeah, absolutely. We meet more like-minded people, and positive and transformative political debate is less likely? I don't think so. I think we've got a more lively political debate going on right now in the last 10 years because of Twitter, because of social media, because there are so many people standing up and saying ridiculously absurd political statements, and so many people going, no, you're wrong, and you're horrible, and here's why, and then having a massive great wee at each other. That's okay. It's not the most transformative political debate, but it's thriving, and there's lots of it. And in amongst these things, there are people that are talking some serious sense out there, and some people are listening. There's just an awful lot of blue and pink-haired screaming idiots out there as well. And yeah, maybe people don't need to listen to them, but it's not for the companies to censor these people. It's for me to go, oh god, it's another feminist. I don't need to listen to that. I'll watch another video instead. That's my choice to make whether or not I want to hear something or not. I have not the freedom of speech is not just the right for people to speak their mind. It's for the rest of the world to have the freedom to hear these fucking idiots talking and make fun of them back. Yeah, by gagging someone, they're also sticking fingers in my fucking ears.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And it's these companies like Google, like Facebook, like YouTube that put these people in their echo chambers. And that segregate these people by their beliefs, because with something like Facebook, they want people to keep using their site, so they'll give people what they want to hear.
Yeah.
So it's these companies that are furthering this divide.
Oh, I know.
It's their fault that this is even a problem.
Yeah.
So yes, yeah, because the internet is this way, the way we made it, we have this problem.
Our search algorithms are making people that like these things find things that are similar to it, and we don't like that. What?
Yeah.
Well done, Google. Kill yourselves. I mean, seriously, what? You're the problem. We know how to deal with this. Just close up shop. That's how you fix this problem. Google, close up shop. The scale is unprecedented. Yes, people all the way across the world, all over the place, jump onto the internet and, boom, they all club up. Brilliant. Local stories have
Yay.
become global events. Yes, that's right. I can tell people about the absolute horrors of going off for, say, the people of Bala Christian over in the West Papuans. Oh, the West Papuans, Indonesia. Nice, peaceful country, Indonesia, happened to be genociding the people of West Papua. Nobody fucking hears about it. So there you go. Yes, local problems become global events. And people, the other side of the world, hear about these things. Frankly, not enough sometimes. Because these horrifying countries carry on genociding their people anyway. So. Oh. Regional laws lose their significance and influence. Borderless filters aren't relevant everywhere. Who decides what is or isn't censored? Jokes and critiques don't always translate well. So what? Yeah. So what? Are they saying there that we find the lowest common denominator and censor it all down to China's level?
Hold on. Jokes, okay, yes, jokes, can be confused. Well, first off, get over it. But critiques,
Mm-hmm.
don't
Well-
criticize foreign dictators.
Well, yeah.
Well, no, it's less that it's less that you shouldn't do it. It's that they don't translate well. Well, that's not my fault that you didn't understand my critique.
Mm.
It's your fault for losing your shit over it. And who decides what is and isn't censored? What will be the one holding the gun? Which in this case is you, Google.
Yeah.
Stop acting like. Stop acting like some other entity will do your job for you because you didn't do it.
Mhm.
No, you're already the superpower in this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, no, that's why they are acting, is because they realize they have the power.
So right, let's look at this now because
Yeah, but their excuse there was other people will do it, so
Mhm.
we may as well.
so now they're
Which
looking.
no.
Yeah.
Not exactly, but
No, it's back to the you should shut up for your own good because the country you're living in might not allow that kind of angle to it as well. Which is where we're
Yes.
going here, which is why they segue into what about governments? Because people are acting badly. What about governments? Yes. What about governments? What about China? Google. What about that whole program you have to work with China to censor the internet for their people? What about government? Shall we talk about governments? Google. Cool. Good. According to Freedom House, only a quarter of the world's internet users reside in countries where the internet is free from censorship. Oh, shall we have a look at the map on here? Well, it turns out Iceland and Estonia are pretty much where it's the freest. and Canada and Germany. Somehow Germany's internet is decided to be freer than England's. And the USA. I think that's got to be crazy because Germany have completely bonkers laws with regard to speech.
Yeah, but they have very specific ones,
Yeah.
whereas we have a lot more age-restricted content. A lot
Yes,
more
and
of
we've
our
got
content
lots of
gets
frigging. If I have the perception of offence, therefore you're mean, and
Yeah, hate
it's
speech.
hate speech is
The
really spurious.
Canada has a freer internet than the U.S.
Apparently, I
Wow.
think it's yeah. I'm not quite sure
Oh,
how.
okay. Right.
Does that do with,
Okay.
like
So
the
this,
ability to access bomb making instructions?
it looked like literal access to the internet. So
Gotcha.
countries are ranked on a 100-point scale
Oh,
based on
broad
three broad
categories. Okay.
categories: obstacles to access, limits on content, and violation of users' right. Oh,
The higher the score, the more restricted.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay,
over
that's
there,
probably
far on
because
the
they have like
left-hand
a
side, we've
more
got
left-wing
China, Syria, and
left-wing
Cuba.
economy. Yeah. Okay. That
Yeah,
makes sense. So they're-
Cuba basically no one can afford a computer very often, etc. China actually there's so many of them you probably find there is a massive amount of the Chinese population don't even know what the internet is.
Yes.
But the ones that do know the internet is very different from what we know the internet as because they don't get to see a lot of ours because they are behind a gigantic firewall.
Yeah, they're a very rural country, and very few middle class and higher class people who can afford that.
Quite.
But there's also a lot of just
Restrictions. Very heavy
yeah,
restrictions in China. Yeah, it's
yeah.
not a.
Their use of the internet is not exactly what I would call legal by most terms.
Maybe. I don't know about legal. It's legal in their country, but yes, there are some freedoms missing. So
Yes.
we can all agree global internet freedoms have gone downhill in the past 7 years. I don't agree with that. Well, if they have gone downhill, it is through governments passing laws like the 2003 law in the UK that's given us the Digital Hate Speech Act and stuff.
Yes. I think just the restrictions are being more enforced.
Yeah.
They were already in place. They just weren't enforced because it was seemingly impossible. But unfortunately, with the progression of time, with the progression of AI and algorithms, with more users, yes, the restrictions are much more heavily enforced. So yes, it's going downhill because the algorithms are getting more complicated and are snatching more people.
Yeah. Political interference is on the increase. I would like to see proof that it's on the increase. Political interference in as the whole depending on who you are, whether you're a Marxist, a libertarian, a free marketeer, etc. Your personal opinion on politics may be that it's got nothing to do with everything in life, or it's literally which apple you choose and which orange you choose is politics. So I'm going to hazard a guess that the nice people at Google are probably a little more Marxist than I am, so political interference is going to be everywhere as far as they're concerned, anywhere. And as they put there, despite having a more vibrant and diverse online environment than most, disinformation and hyper-partisan content are having a bigger impact. Because there's more people, then the people that say these things are clustering together and getting louder, and therefore they're having, yes, truism, granted.
Another question is, by political interference, do they mean like foreign influence? Because if so, Google is an American company. Most English internet users Google things.
Yep.
Does that count?
They're going to be trying to conflate
political
Russian interference into the 2016 election and go,
Yes.
oh, this, that, and the other. Might I point out there was a certain President of the United States of America, I believe his name was Obama, that was desperately trying to influence the vote in England on whether or not England should stay in the EU or not. Was that outside interference in a foreign government's vote? I think so. So if
Roger
America's
that. We
going to
have
start
coordinates. The
throwing
drums are on the way.
if people are going to start throwing hissy fits about foreign interference in other countries' elections, perhaps we shouldn't be living in a glass house, because America is fucking terrible for that sort of behaviour. Every country is. England gets involved in it, America gets involved in it, but you've got to be New Zealand to not be involved in this shit. New Zealand just sits there going, we don't care, we've got pretty landscape, and they go out hunting in the afternoon. New Zealand's cool. They don't give a flying fuck about stuff as long as you don't
They
mess
don't
with
really
them.
have much threats. I mean, there's
Yeah.
not many people who are going to bother them.
Exactly. They are actually at war with France, I believe. They've been at war with France for ages. France blew up a boat, I believe it was a
Yeah,
Greenpeace
yeah.
boat in their harbour, and they
I
went,
thought
we're
that
at
was
war
in
with you, and
Australia,
France
though.
went,
Was that New
shrug,
Zealand?
okay.
I thought that was an Australian.
No, it was Greenpeace.
Okay, never mind.
Greenpeace boat in I believe it was Wellington or Auckland Harbour, and New Zealand immediately grew a spine and went, we're at war. Our 3 biplanes and 1 paddle boat will will do nothing
Well,
about
to be
it.
fair, to be fair, I mean, they could win.
Against France, a sneak attack might get them running. You're right. Napoleon destroyed all of France's fighting people. Anyway, and now there are new worrying signs of government encroachments. When a Twitter user objected to Trump's immigration policy in 2017, U.S. Customs and Border Protection agencies responded by asking the firm to reveal the identity
Hello.
before backing off when Twitter fought them in court. I don't know the details of that, but if someone is making a statement publicly on a public platform that is anti the laws of the land, they are. I mean, I'm glad Twitter fought them off in some respects. But at the same time, if you're making threats to government officials, I don't know what it said because it objected to Trump's immigration policy. Did he sat there and go, I object to your immigration policy, sir. I think it's inhumane and needs rethink. Or did he say, or she say, something horrifying that had the Secret Service and the Border Protection Customs people going, holy shit, this person's smuggling people across the border and might assassinate the president or something? Was it a credible threat? Or was it just sir, I object. There's differences, and that made it sound. That makes it sound like it was something totally benign, and I suspect the actual case would be something slightly more troubling. And in August 2017, the Department of Justice contacted DreamHost, a hosting company, to demand the names of 1.3 million users who had visited Disrupt J20, an anti-Trump protest website.
Yeah, with that first example, it's like I imagine someone was like, "How dare you, Trump? You're gonna damage my business here. I've got a perfect, fucking tractor, and I'm seeping people across the country, and they're paying me loads. If you go through with this, I'm gonna be screwed. Can't get a tractor over a wall." Or did he...
I don't know. I don't know. I
So-
daren't speculate. Well, I dare. But
the fact that they asked for the identity, they didn't ask for any action to be actually taken against this person.
no, they wanted to
simply
check this
asked for-
person out and do and make sure they weren't a criminal. Fair enough. And with this 1.3 million people who visited hashtag Disrupt J20, I don't know what that was, but there was an awful lot of protests around the January 20th inauguration. Or actually, that was 2017. That was that was the inauguration, wasn't it? So, if I remember rightly, there were
like
cars
January
being set
20th or
on
whatever.
fire and windows being smashed and generally other stuff, and was being actually organised mobs and black blocs and so on were being sort of organised on sites like this. The
More
Department of Justice
importantly,
going, can I have a look at the people that were on that? Because
more
I think we,
importantly, I think the question you should be asking is how many of those were Russian bots?
oh, well, maybe.
Also,
I
hello,
don't.
Ez.
Hey, Ez, how's it going, dude?
Hello,
Yes,
Mr.
quite right.
Croissant.
Uh,
God,
the
please,
croissant,
no.
the croissant is done. That was yeah.
I will probably actually make a video or a stream where I just break down why you shouldn't work for this company, but I'll save that for another time.
It's
But when it
yeah.
came
Yeah.
when it came to this Department of Justice contacting DreamHost, they were doing it on behalf of the public because they had most likely caused vandal. You know, they had been vandalizing everywhere.
Mhm.
They had assaulted people in the streets. And it may even be that they're trying to defend some of these people because they may have been assaulted
Mhm.
themselves.
There's all manner of reasons. The Department of Justice. You,
They have to operate in the public eye and in the public interest.
yeah. No, I'm not.
And then they're not doing this to be malicious.
So let's go into why Google and how Google thinks the governments are behaving badly. Apparently, they have troll farms and bots and
Are troll
restrictions on
farms anything
cyber
like gold
attacks.
farms by chance?
Pardon?
Are troll
What?
farms anything like gold farms?
I don't
More
know.
like kiwi farms.
Troll farms.
They are very nice people there, and I'm a big fan.
Wait, hang on. Are they trying to say the governments of the world are trying to weaponize trolls?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, they are actively saying that trolls are an effective weapon for the government.
Against?
Well,
Against
in
against
favour of-
normies. Against normies, basically. I don't know. I
So
mean,
a government acting against the interest of the populace.
what I would like to know is if trolls are getting paid by governments. Why aren't I getting any checks? I've taken the piss out of loads of people for loads of years. No one's been paying me. I mean, I'm not mean, but usually I just tell them they're wrong. But no, yes, there are various governments engaging in trolling and so on. To be honest, they're usually terrible. From what when you see them, they're fairly obvious. Boomer memes, left, right, and centre. And they're all at it. It's going to be part and parcel of living on the internet is trolls, government sending out shit, bots, blah blah blah. It's part and parcel of living in the 21st century. I'm afraid. And
Paraphrase a certain mayor.
to paraphrase a certain mayor, I would rather have trolls on the internet than terrorists on the streets. Though. I don't
Okay,
know.
but the question is, would you rather have trolls on the streets than terrorists on the internet?
Yeah. Yeah, trolls on the streets are good too. I mean, it's as long as people are taking the piss and not actually damaging property and people, I'm all good with it, to be honest.
I
So
mean, give it enough time, and trolling will evolve into, oh, I wrecked your car because I was just trolling you.
this is it.
Words are not
I'm
crushing cars.
yeah, the semantics of the whole thing. I mean, this is it. Trolling has gone from a fine, an honourable profession to somehow being cyberbullying these days, and I'm not happy about it.
I still grapple with the whole concept of bullying. Like,
Yes,
I just
walk away
I
from the
don't
computer,
understand.
faggot. It's like,
I mean, obviously there's something there because so many people suffer from it. But is that just more to do with people just addicted to their handheld devices?
maybe.
No, it's just because humans are social creatures. It's pretty straightforward, honestly. It's
Yeah, but
let's push on a little bit
Alright.
because I wouldn't mind getting this thing done and dusted within the next 20 minutes, so we can actually have a bash at some of the other stuff, because there has been some really 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 big shit happening in the last week that I would like to cover as actual news, and I don't want to get sort of too bogged down in trolling Google on every single detail of this because it's all horrible. It's all horrible. Seriously,
I like the people that review content for if it should be taken down or not. They're good people.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. The paid use of commentators and political bots spread through the propaganda pioneered by China and Russia and, of course, the United States of America, but now it's gone global. The effects of these rapidly spreading techniques on democracy and civil activism are potentially devastating. Yeah, the fact that they're not putting America in there is unbelievable to me. America has been at the absolute forefront of all technology with regard to the
Silicon
internet.
Valley.
And to leave them out of
Silicon
there, to
Valley,
think
the
they're
internet
not
company.
taking part in propaganda is a dishonest omission, in my opinion. Anyway, there we go. Just check for little red dots. No, nothing yet. Good. Government's also trying to tighten their grip on political discourse by acting Google to censor more and more content. Yes. So if you do bow down to the whole censorship thing, what you're doing, Google, you're sucking the fucking dick of the governments. That's what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the role of tech firms in all of this. What is their role? How are tech firms behaving badly? Ineffective automation, incubating fake news, commercialized conversation. Ineffective automation. Oops, we got it wrong. We did okay, algorithms and getting your algorithms and your AI stuff up to spec. Yes, fine. Yeah, get it right, get it good. As I was saying there, with 400 hours of video uploaded to YouTube and 340,000 tweets every minute. Good God, that's a lot of crap, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it's almost like it's not worth automating censorship on these things. It's almost like it's a waste of resources.
It's a it's a colossal amount of fucking of processor power, and
There's a
they
certain
get
degree
it.
of spam filters that could be automated, but I mean, yeah.
Well, spam,
So-
yeah, because it's just comparing, is this the same as this? Obviously a few more factors than that, but yeah, spam filters are probably a lot easier
Yeah,
to figure out the
If-
kinks. But there's
if you
also
let-
ways of preventing.
yeah. I was going to say, if you let users, for a start, letting users sub-tag. You know, if you've got a YouTube video and you set a whole bunch of tags up to it, and there you go, you've got your weird little cartoon of Mickey Mouse drinking urine or water with Peppa Pig, and you've tagged it up for kids, and there it is playing on YouTube, and it's getting past all the censorship stuff and all of the age restriction stuff because they're recognizing the images and going fine. They're not seeing the content because it's a bot seeing it after all, and it's getting through to the kids stuff, and I as a parent see that and go, nope, that's not fit for children, and I tag it as not fit for children, which we've got a flagging system anyway, and that way you're utilizing, you're outsourcing human interaction. You're getting humans to take responsibility for what they're watching. Rather than demanding that companies be responsible for the information that they're feeding them. And one is a personal responsibility thing, the other one's a handing off responsibility thing. I've got to be in favour of the former, personally. And yeah, it's better for IT companies as well. If they say we're not censoring stuff, we don't have to put all that huge amount of tech into all of that AI generation and censorship machines.
Part of the problem, though, is legislation where if they don't do it, they're liable for what people say.
Yeah,
Well,
the German government's terrible for that crap as well.
Yeah, tell them to go screw themselves.
I think the end end result is either fine, you won't have my business, you won't get my tax, you won't get my earnings.
They don't get the tax anyway.
Oh,
Well,
I don't know. Google pay Germany quite a lot of money, all the time for various infractions. Google and Germany get a lot of money off Google. You
Yeah.
get a lot of money off Google and Apple for various infractions that they pump out.
Yeah, but instead these massive companies have cucked to them
Mm.
to enforce their laws.
Well, the
Well,
only way that's true is if the company believes it will make more money by doing it.
Yeah, I mean, here they go. They're actually going to go through a couple of slides of actually owning up. Yeah, in responding to public pressure, tech firms, public pressure, you mean governmental pressure, tech firms haven't managed the situation politically well either, or particularly well either. In fact, they've done an incredibly bad job of staying ahead of the public narrative. I hate that phrase, public
Oh, God.
narrative.
No, staying ahead of it. That's even.
Yeah,
I mean, as
they've come
in
to
the
seem
in
not
terms of
only
censorship.
inconsistent but misguided and sometimes actively dishonest. Yes. How are the tech firms mismanaging issues? Inconsistent interventions. That is the key one here. Because
Yeah.
lack of transparency, nobody needs Google to tell them all about their algorithm. Nobody will be able to understand it anyway. Or very few people. And the only people that can understand it will go, oh, thank you very much, Google, and then go and fucking nick that algorithm and put it to use elsewhere. So it's that the transparency thing. If you get too transparent, you're talking about IP protection. And if you're not, I don't know. As long as they are pinned into,
Well, there's an argument to be made that if you treat tech giants as public services, which some people say you should, then transparency should be there. And
Yeah.
let's be honest,
it's
if
not
someone if someone copies Google's search algorithm, they're going to be sued to the ends of the earth.
Yeah, I hear you, but it's.
Well,
I'm trying to find the right phrasing for it, and I'll get there. Let's have a look at the inconsistent interventions bit first, because human error by content moderators combined with AI falls short when faced with complex content. Complex content? We are talking about a systematic assassination, or digital assassination of various people, and they even own up to it in the little green text down here. Richard Spencer doesn't get kicked off. It doesn't get to be a verified speaker. Milo gets kicked off. I know pretty much abusive feminists that say exactly the same thing, and are permitted to perform certain kinds of free speech. They're right that we are seeing an awful lot of right-wing commentators and shit posters and Alex Jones, for God's sakes. I mean, it has been completely black-bagged as far as most of the big tech companies are concerned. They've taken him off Twitter, they've taken him off YouTube and Google, they've taken him off iTunes, and they've taken away his ability to have money transferred to him via PayPal.
Yeah.
This is so Orwellian, it's untrue.
The lack of a mention of Alex Jones.
Well,
With
how can Google mention Alex Jones? They don't know he exists anymore. He doesn't exist to them anymore. They've totally vanished him. Poor chap.
But it's one of the things is it all happened at the same time. He got kicked off so many platforms all at the same time. There's no way that was a human error. There was no way that was inconsistent AI. That was them proactively trying to be rid of Alex Jones.
That's why they don't mention it here. There's no way they consider that a mismanagement of the issue. That's great success.
Yes, exactly. So they can own up to it however they like. There is no denying that they are proactively trying to kick off certain people off of their platform.
Absolutely.
And just owning up to these past mistakes, which maybe 2-3 years ago we would have gone, yeah, okay, fair enough, are bad. No, we know that's not the case. You've made it too easy to identify that as not the case.
So, are they going to go on a mass unbanning of people? Or are they going to go and annihilate all of the radical feminists and the CNN reporters that...
What do you reckon will make them more money? Yeah, that's what I
thought. How are tech firms mismanaging the issues? Slow to corrections. Global inconsistency. and reactionary tactics. Global inconsistency. Shall we look at that one? Global inconsistency. Yeah. What they're saying there is that because they need to restrict content in Pakistan and Turkey, and they need to restrict different content in China, and they need to restrict different content in Germany because hate speech laws.
No.
That there are so many inconsistencies with it that it's difficult to police it all, and as a result, they kind of. I don't know. I get the feeling they want to just take it all down to the lowest common denominator and go, right, these are the worst people for it. They have these restrictions, so let's just apply that to everything.
That would make it a lot easier from a
Yeah.
programming perspective.
Yes, it would, wouldn't it?
And that might just be the end result. And then when they've kicked all those people off, and they have so few users, they won't be self-sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
That'll just be the end of these platforms, or they will have to remove these algorithms. It's gonna be a difficult choice for them. It shouldn't be, but it will be. But when it comes to like back in 2014, how they were complicit in political censorship, they were proactively going after people who made Facebook posts that were against those governments.
Yeah.
That Facebook were handing over this information so that these people could then go in and be arrested or be disappeared.
Yeah.
So
Let's
yeah,
push on,
no,
because governments making people disappear is something I want to talk about in a bit.
yeah. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Facebook wasn't just complicit in political censorship; they were proactively harming their users.
So look where it's come to. When it comes to users, all of this bad behavior and mismanagement impacts trust. It's a nightmare. I can't trust YouTube anymore. You can't trust YouTube. When did you start trusting? Why were you trusting YouTube? Incites criticism. Hold on, what? Yes! Yes, if you say something stupid, I'm going to criticize you. How? Half-educated tech lead delivered us into care. Oh. You are allowed to criticize. That's the whole... Increased calls for regulation. Tell them to fuck off. Breeds conspiracy theories. Yes. Hold on. Whoa. Conspiracy theory. Google's search engine was suppressing the bad news about Hillary Clinton. It was suppressing the bad news about Hillary Clinton. It was blatantly obvious. You went onto 3-4 different search engines, you typed in the same half a phrase about Hillary Clinton, and on Google it was Hillary Clinton's the freaking Messiah, and everywhere else is Hillary Clinton's critically ill. Hillary Clinton falls into the back of a van. Hillary Clinton, is she going to be locked up? It was crazy how fucking biased that Google was. Don't give me that shit that it's a conspiracy theory. Google, fuck yourselves. Don't apostrophe be evil. That's your fucking thing, isn't it? Yeah. Don't do that. We're evil. Fuck you guys. That's Google to a fucking T.
Well,
it
did come from the tinfoil hat wearing Donald Trump, so it must have been a theory of conspiratory.
Oh yes, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, is a conspiracy theorist, as if he's not actively participating in like several conspiracies.
Of course he is. He's in the government. They conspire all sorts of things.
Yes, he's the one who does the conspiracy theories. Yes, Google.
Fucking
Tell me more.
With so much bad behaviour. Yeah, and according to you, it's not surprising that users and governments have been fighting ways to fight back. Hold on a second.
I'm tempted... Sorry, go ahead.
Does that? With so much bad behaviour, it's not surprising that users and governments have been fighting ways to fight back. So when we get censored and
slip there.
Yeah, is it finding or fighting? But either way.
Yeah.
Oh no.
This is the worst part about it. This is the actual issue. The issue isn't that that these people are being, that people are acting badly, people are trolling or whatever. It's that people are now self-censoring because they're avoiding repercussions.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to get kicked off Twitter. They don't want to be kicked off the main platform where you can communicate with everyone. They don't want to be kicked off YouTube because they might make an income from it. They don't want to be kicked off Facebook because that's how they talk to their family
Mhm.
in another country, right? So yeah, people are going to have to start self-censoring to avoid your fucking censoriousness.
Yeah.
We're avoiding you,
No,
cunt.
and it's not just that though. This is a great example, and takes me to something else that's a problem with the world in general. Teenagers are editing their social media before going to college, so that a third of college administrations officers are now routinely checking people's social media posts. In response, students are scrubbing their accounts in their senior year to ensure Twitter feeds line up with the best self they are peddling in their applications.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of
You're breathing
hate
into the mic, my dude.
that
Huh?
shit.
You're breathing into the mic.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yep.
I
adjusted.
I kind of hate that companies and colleges and people will immediately charge into your social media and start looking up your details there,
Yes.
as well as your CV.
Well,
It's
my-
no. You there are an awful lot of laws with regards to employment law. I don't know if it's the same in the States, but in the UK you're not allowed to discriminate on for a number of reasons, on politics and various other things. Social media and people checking up on your social media immediately puts you at a disadvantage when being employed.
I don't mind the use of checking someone's social media to, I don't know, find a characterization of the person they're hiring. But I do have a problem when it comes
If
to
it's relevant.
looking proactively looking through their posts, checking
it's-
every single, scrubbing it to the point where they've said one naughty word, or they've done one naughty thing, and then actively being conspired against by their employers or
I don't
what
think
would
it's-
be future employers.
I think unless it's relevant, unless you're going for I'm applying for a social media editor for your company, and I want to be able to boost your social media presence, and I'm this, that, and the other. Then they should be looking through your social media.
I can kind of see two sides of this.
But-
I mean,
but-
on the one side, a company shouldn't be
Yeah.
looking at people's personal lives. On the other side, people shouldn't be publishing their personal lives to the whole world, showing when they were an idiot when they were 14.
Precisely. That's the other side of it. And
So,
I kind of.
actually,
I kind of think again, yeah, you're right. There's a certain amount of personal responsibility about what you stick up on Facebook and these things, and social media is a bit prone for people sticking all manner of stuff up there, and then a few years down the line they're going for a job, and suddenly they find their future employer is thumbing through their nudes that they stuck all over Instagram when they were 21 and at university.
I've long had a strong belief that things like social media should be something that children are not allowed to use until they're old enough to use it.
Yeah.
They could be really hurting themselves in the future. And what's on the internet stays on the internet.
Shall we get to the one that I think really is bothering Google and Twitter? Shall we get?
Well, I remember reading that companies, they'll find it suspicious. A lot of companies find it suspicious if you don't say have a Facebook page or whatever.
They would do until last year. If you said this year,
weird.
if you went up to them this year and they went, "Where's your Facebook
Oh,
account?"
well, okay, yeah, I
and
guess
you
that'd be
just went,
different now. That wasn't that
Facebook or
recent, I
absolute
read that.
cancer. They don't care about data. I think these days you're actually quite wise to not have a if you certainly if you're going for any sort of IT job and they said where's your social media posts, and I went, well, Facebook and Google and this lot are absolutely terrible, so I stripped my accounts because they're detailed and the way they handle security is a disgrace, then they would actually, if I were the employer, I would be putting them a little higher in my standings, rather than going, oh no, he's clearly a weirdo. No, he clearly knows something about data security.
Do people actually ask that in job interviews?
Depends on the job interview, mate. If you're going for a job at McDonald's, no.
Either way.
But if you're going for an IT security job, maybe. But let's.
Surely that's equivalent of saying, "Where's your diary?"
Yes, it is the equivalent of saying, "Where's your diary?" And it's a disgrace. As I said, it is a disgrace. Shall we look at the real reason why they're actually all jumping about this at the present moment?
Go on.
Users are migrating to other platforms. Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh dear, it's the Gab Frog.
Didn't they remove Gab from the
They've
Google
done.
Apple
App Store?
Store.
They've done all sorts to Gab, and it's still alive and kicking. It created its own. Yeah, it's fine. Gab is actually if I were interested,
Oh,
it's probably a good thing. It's probably a
It was
decent
mentioned
investment these
somewhere in
days.
the document, right?
Yeah, it's got Twitter worried at this point. Clearly.
I would just read that little bit on the right talking about Gab. But growing criticism of the failure for Twitter to address hate speech means it has pushed controversial figures out. Some of those who are unwelcome, such as far-right group Britain First, are now signing up to the challenger site Gab. That's a bit
Oof.
That's a bit slanderous. Don't you think?
It's certainly conflating Gab with being the hangout of far right activists, etc., and almost
I'm
exclusively.
just going to
yes.
read the first line on the left, though. Unhappy with the level of censorship on certain platforms.
Mhm.
I wonder which
Users are-
ones.
Yeah.
Fucking all of them. Certain platforms. Can you name one that wouldn't censor people?
Yes.
Can you
So
think of one that hasn't kicked someone off?
so people are fleeing off YouTube and Twitter and ending up, well, not fleeing off Twitter, but they're setting up a Gab account alongside. They're not fleeing off YouTube, but they're setting up a BitChute account on the side and loading their videos up to here, which is probably something I should do, considering. And I can't blame them. I really can't. It's. Is it time for a change? Is it time for the gigantic mountain of Silicon Valley to take a shake? Probably. Users are protesting bad behavior. Yes, we have a handful of very, very, very noisy people that go about all manner of crazy shit. Empowered by their digital soapboxes, those unhappy with the current rules of digital spaces are protesting them. Campaigners are led by journalists, academics, celebrities, or everyday people that find their power in the support of disgruntled users. This is equating people having a voice and shouting. So yeah, this is yeah. Which side of who is who at this point? If we're going to take the Leslie Jones situation, Leslie Jones, who on Twitter called for her mob to gang up and shout at people on one particular tweet. I can't remember the details. I should probably find it, but it is there. Yeah. Then has calls for, oh my god, I'm being hate mobbed, and has other people. Whose bad behaviour and which users are protesting it? Both sides are protesting each other, if you want, at this point. It's far better for the digital platforms to go, guys, carry on. You just shout at each other, fine, and not get involved.
They would be better off doing that. But yeah.
Than getting involved and silencing one group or another, or silencing both groups. The moment it starts silencing people, that's horrible. Users are returning to trusted sources like the New York Times and actually using actual newspapers again. And like the New York Times, Washington Post, and the Wall Street Journal, and the Guardian all saw bumps in their subscriptions. Well, the Guardian, I stand with Elon with regards to the Guardian. They saw a bump in their subscriptions, but in general, those media formats are really suffering at the present moment.
Yeah. Part
Yes.
of the reason that those were gaining a lot of traction at the time was because of, obviously, with the election of Trump,
Hmm.
people were looking to uh, enthuse themselves and entertain themselves with the kind of sources that would slam dunk Trump.
Mhm.
And these people were not necessarily engaged with these news sites or these newspapers beforehand, but once they saw what they were doing
Yeah.
to
It's
sites and these newspapers.
it's reactionary. This is what
Yes.
basically Google are saying here over these last couple of pages is people are starting to self-censor themselves. They're running off to our competitors. They're shouting about it, and they're running off to our competitors. Oh, and we're now going to move on to and governments are asserting power over global policy. Right. You're an American company. You have the American Constitution on your side, and if push comes to the shove, the protection of the American military to a degree.
America.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go for a quick break. I need a piss and a
Uh,
fag.
Well,
I'll be back.
Shall
I
we?
was actually about to say well,
Okay.
not exact same thing. I don't smoke because I'm not a fag, but anyway.
Fuck you.
Okay.
But please Google when I said I'm gonna smoke. I meant I'm gonna have a cigarette. I'm gonna have a cigarette.
No, he
okay?
meant he's killing
Please
gay.
Google. No,
No,
shut the fuck up.
He's smoking
Faggot.
smoking cock from a gay man. Yeah, that's what he's doing.
yes,
He's going
I
to give a blowjob.
He's gonna gun down homosexuals.
I
Smoke them
will
fag.
be back in about 5 minutes. I shouldn't be too long.
Okay.
I might
Okay.
be longer.
Shall I carry on or shall we?
Feel free to go on.
Yeah,
You've got good
Don't
company.
wait for me.
I think.
Don't wait for me because I
think-
have
okay.
some other stuff to get done.
Okay, we're gonna push on. We're gonna push on whilst these guys are going off and poisoning themselves and so on. Ez, are you with me? Are you with me, bro?
I'm always with you,
It's
bro.
just you and I for the time being.
Not gay.
In no gay way, yes. So yeah, the tech companies are growing more dominant over the globe, and the big government's gotten involved, and they're seeking to balance their national values with those of the tech giants. In other words, Google's trying to operate in China, and China are saying we want these things, and they bring up something which has almost been forgotten, but quite a while back, the EU ruled that people have the right to be forgotten. I hate this law so much. It is horrifying.
I've never understood this law because it's like the only way to enforce it is if you had like brainwashing machines.
No, right. You see, that you now have the right to be forgotten on the internet, and after a certain number of years, you can then turn around to Google and go, "I want you to delete my past history." Now, this was to protect victims of child abuse and so on, or so it was said at the time. And those scandals that happened to people when they were young and so on. What's actually happened is an awful lot of the moment it came through, a huge number of politicians basically applied to be forgotten, and they managed to memory hole a huge number of people's pasts up to a certain point.
Practicing politicians or retired
Practicing
ones?
politicians, practicing officials of all sorts and professionals, just
So
getting
what? It
themselves.
became illegal to tweet about these practicing politicians.
It didn't become
effectively.
illegal to tweet about them. What they did was they basically demanded that Google. Here's the stupid thing. It only sort of works because it doesn't. It basically means that Google rather, Google memory hole information about these people within their UK and EU servers. Thing is, if you go onto google.com instead of google.uk, co.uk rather, and go in via the American servers, you still find the same information. So it's utterly useless piece of legislation, utterly pointless, and just
Well, it makes certain people feel better about themselves, and Joe Average Public is not going to change the default ending of their Google.
yeah, I know, but the whole thing is it's there to be forgotten about, and so someone's looking up for you, someone's investigating you. They're not gonna let that get in their way. They're gonna go in via America or via another country outside of this law, and VPN in or whatever, and they're going to find that information. This is a
Well,
classic
as I
case
said,
of this is a classic case of the European Union in this particular case not having a fucking clue how internet and
Yeah.
technology works, and going,
Yeah, literally
we want this, and then Google's gone ta-da, and they're left with, well, great, okay, it's not effective at all, and it's a nonsense. So it's cost Google a fortune, and it's a utter nonsense.
but it makes certain politicians feel better about themselves, at least in the short term. And that's the only reason it's there.
Mm? But it's a nonsense. It is a total nonsense, and there's so many other, and
It's
it
a
just
mockery of free speech. Let's be honest.
it's making a mockery of free speech. It's making a mockery of personal freedoms and liberties, and oh well, we can go into the EU and why they're a complete mess anyway later.
Oh, look, they're talking about Russia intervention.
I know. Governments are fighting back against interference from abroad. There is an increasing awareness that technology platforms can be and are used by foreign governments to influence domestic issues. Yes, they are, aren't they, America? Through content manipulation, or advertising, cookies, etc. In reaction,
How is this a new thing?
I don't know.
You go back to the 50s, the 40s, and the 30s. Different countries were broadcasting radio into the other countries.
And if before then you had pamphleteers and all sorts and
Yeah,
agents provocateurs, this is nothing new. Nothing new. It's just.
And arguably, the stuff that's done today is less effective than the stuff that was done in the past.
Well, we're quite a lot. We as the general public are quite inoculated to a lot of it these days.
Exactly.
So we'll just shoot through this because I want to get out of this document as quickly as we can because there was some really funny stuff. Governments are making digital censorship more like offline censorship. The government has long been the internet has been the Wild West, yada yada yada. Yeah, basically, now governments are making steps to make online spaces safer and more regulated. When they say governments, they don't mean America, they mean Germany, and they mean the EU and various other places, and they bring up Germany's digital hate speech laws and the fact that social media platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Reddit can now be fined 50 million euros for leaving posts classified as hate speech up for more than 24 hours. So they have.
And what if they refuse to pay it?
They just don't.
No, seriously, what if they were to refuse to pay it? What would said country do?
Well, what would happen is that what happens, I would imagine, every single year is that Germany will go through all of these things, find as many cases as they can where the infraction's been made, and do 1 or 2 lawsuits a year, and Google and Facebook and Twitter will all individually fight their things, and they'll come up with an agreed amount to be paid, and it will be agreed off the. I would imagine they've almost got a set up deal where 2 or 3 times a year they'll go, well, we've got 500 counts of it. That means you owe us 5 billion, and Google will go, sod off. We'll give you 100 million. How's that? And they'll go, call it 150, and we'll call it a deal. And they will have mitigating ways of just paying.
It's just so pointless.
It's just Gibbs me the money. Yeah, it's governments finding new ways of taxing big corporations, and they're trying to find ways of mitigating this. I can understand why they're trying to find ways of mitigating this, is because big government's sticking its hands in their pockets as often as it can. Governments are looking for media regulators for inspiration to media regulators on how to control big tech. So yeah, again, lots more regulations being thrown about.
So what did I miss?
Me just pointing out that the EU is a gigantic bunch of give me your money, and finding ways to get Google and various big tech companies to give them lots and lots of money for even the slightest thing, like 50 million euros per hate speech post that's left on Google or Twitter or wherever for more than 24 hours. It's just a way for the EU to rinse big companies, and obviously they're going to react very quickly to wanting to regulate against having those incursions. But I think you're right. I think, as you said, and you, Stasi, you're right. They should just basically turn around to the EU and go, I'll tell you
Massive
what.
middle finger.
I'll tell you what. How about this? You guys in the EU don't get to use our service anymore, and we're going to say why. This is why.
Yeah.
Terribly sorry, people of Europe, but your government are absolute bleeding nightmares, and so we've told them to bollocks. You can't have our service anymore because we're not paying their stupid fee. And the EU would die very quickly because people.
Well, they'd attempt to block them, and then people would get really angry and uproar and riots, and then
Yeah.
they'll have to backpedal.
People will just VPN it anyway.
Yeah, that's
and,
it.
and,
Just
and
VPN
the
straight
people
through.
who really wanted to access it will just VPN anyway. And yeah, it's not as if these companies didn't have the power to do this, to turn around and say we will take our business elsewhere if you don't supersede these demands. That you put these demands in place, and we just will not be able to do business with you. Rather, they have completely cucked to the.
Well, all that means is that they're making so much money hand over fist
That-
from, say, Germany and Europe that this is a drop in the ocean to them.
Yes, it's within their. It's financially viable for them to pay that 50 million euro fine, probably repeatedly, possibly even daily.
Yep. And yeah, they decided not to.
Spineless, soy boy cowards, the lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Plus, also, to be honest, actually, when dealing with governments can get scary. Governments have things like armies and secret service and intelligence services and people that peer out of shadows with guns who can be very persuasive at times. So I'm not totally saying that big governments are a bunch of pussies for wimping out when dealing with the EU, because the EU, I suspect, might be capable of some fairly nasty things if they're pushed to it, which we can discuss in a bit if we can get through this document quickly enough. So
well,
yeah,
I mean, if they're willing to go through with those actions, then I think it's plausible for the UN to take action on
Oh, the UN taking action. Who'd have...
the UN.
you were
Oh.
taking action.
I'm sorry. Google has a bigger GDP than Europe,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I think if it came to armies, Google could probably raise an army very quickly that could fight back.
Did
It's
you
not
know-
how they would ever do it, but they financially could certainly do it.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing once. I think it was Coca-Cola at one point had the third largest navy in the world.
No, it was Pepsi.
Pepsi.
Pepsi, because the Soviets,
That's right.
during their change into not being Soviets, hadn't really got any money, but had quite a large navy, decided to hand over a large portion of said navy to pay off Pepsi.
Yeah.
To allow Pepsi to continue to operate within Russia. Because
So,
it made Russia a lot of money, and it didn't cost them a lot to give away their navy.
I would suggest there's certainly precedent for large companies
Mm-hmm.
to be capable of exerting military force. Yes, and yeah.
And I have no doubt a country like the USA would be willing to back such a clause, especially with the First Amendment.
You know what? I absolutely privately owned. Well, maybe not nukes, but yes. I
Less
think
from the armies.
yeah.
Well, it's not just that; it's the, it's a US-based company as well.
Like I
You're going to
said,
hinder our business
how dare.
because your legislation. How dare you? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's it. We're just gonna
Crikey,
start giving
is
them our
that oil
navy.
you're sitting on over there? Yeah.
Christ, it'll be like Iraq all over again, except it'll be they have oil of mass destruction.
Yeah. Getting back to Google ever so quickly, so we can blast through
Mhm.
this because we're nearly at the endish.
Yeah.
And so as of yet, it's sort of blah blah blah. Traditional media has been beholden to rules and regulations. As of yet, users and governments recognise that our online platforms hold as much, if not more, sway over public opinions and the outcomes of elections. More people are asking, isn't big tech really big media in disguise? Well, it's kind of.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It's where most people get their information from now.
It's big media 2.0.
Yeah. So,
And yeah,
how are tech firms responding? They have been responding by tightening their terms of service. And the moment they say that, I'm by unverifying white nationalist Richard Spencer standing there looking like a prat. Actually, doesn't look like a prat there. He's standing there looking like he's holding some sort of business conference. But I mean, sorry, but he is such a colossal prat. It's untrue.
surprised they didn't catch him doing the Roman salute.
Yeah, either that or him catching that punch to the face and going down. They like that picture a lot.
Yeah.
And every time they're tightening their terms of sort of more, they tighten the grip, the more star systems will slip through your fingers. What springs to mind. It's
part of the problem with this is every time they've tightened their grip on Richard Spencer, Milo Yiannopoulos, and the like, they just get more popular.
Yeah. They bugger off over to Gab, as we've just found out, and all their friends and followers bugger off over there too, and it solves nothing.
Yeah, it's like when they censored the Daily Stormer.
Yeah,
it stopped popping up in search, and then for some reason it had the most traction it had ever had, despite the fact that people couldn't find it just by searching it up. It still became
I know,
like twice as popular. The more you censor these people, the more popular they are. I mean, it's antithetical to the very first thing you were trying to do.
The Daily Stormer, page not found. You mention it, they are right there. They've brought it up. Yep, they removed its domain registrar and so on. You know what happened to it? It buggered off to the dark web now, and now no one can freaking well touch it.
Nope.
And don't go on the dark web, ladies and gentlemen. It's you're asking for trouble.
It's not that scary. It's not that scary, Trig. But
don't tell people.
I do not recommend.
Don't tell the normies. Yes, I know.
You can't.
You can just get yourself in very very bad trouble on the dark web unless you know what you're doing. So I don't recommend it to anybody.
Yes.
As I said, there be dragons.
Yeah. It's, to be honest, the dark web is kind of like the internet was back in the early 90s. It's a Wild West place. It's tech. You know, they're knocking people off the thing. They're amping up moderation. The Peppa Pig scandal. Jigsaw UK, Google's Jigsaw initiative. I'm glad I'm almost impressed. Oh, of course they brought it up. This is a Google document. They don't usually mention that they're actively working with China to censor everything that goes in there and out. So it's a problem solved, right? We've got it covered. Big tech. We've got the moderation and the curation, and it's all fine. Except no, everyone's getting much more pissed off with it. They've gone from being unmediated marketplace of ideas, and should they balance that with well-ordered spaces for safety and civility, the European tradition, apparently, although, to be honest, I think you'll find that American tradition of free speech and democracy are a bunch of English writers who were inspired over what was going off in France with the revolution and wanted America to be free and so on. I'm not conflating the European tradition with massive 100% censorship. Fuck off. Maybe German. Yeah, the Germans have always been pro shut the fuck up, Fritz, and do what I tell you. But, in their past, their position was clear. We are neutral places for freedom of speech, and I was in love with the internet forum for that. And now they're going to politicized editors and publishers. Well, if they're going to do that, they're going to have to cop up and cough up that they're a media company, that they're curating their stuff.
They're effectively admitting that the concept of being creative is dangerous to something.
Yeah. Yeah,
I wonder what
and it
it's
always
dangerous
is.
to.
All technology, anything created is disruptive technology.
I was leaning more towards it's dangerous to the status quo.
Yes.
You know, and the people at the top usually don't like change.
Yes.
Disruptive technology. For a long time, we thought censorship in terms of government and tradition and nation states, and I think we're in an era where people are starting to realize that private companies, probably more than ever, control people's ability to amplify their voice, and whether or not speech strays up or comes down, also what they see and what they can listen to and what they can read. And you can say that and whatever. Okay, dude. Yes, you're right. And the censorship is now from the big tech. Why the shift
Yes.
towards censorship? Reasons. Protect advertisers from controversial content. Monetize content through its organization and increase revenues. Respond to regulatory demands and maintain global expansion. So, cuck to governments.
How are
Appease
any of
users
these
and
in
maintain
favour of
platform.
their
This is
customers?
cuckery, gives me the cash, and gives me the cash.
Well, none of these are customer friendly reasons. They're all, you know, shadowy, dark reasons.
Yeah,
Basically,
Well, no, they go for we're trying to appease our users, but the only users you're appeasing are the people unaffected.
Mm-hmm.
You don't care about the people who you are kicking off your platform at all, it seems. And when these appeased users finally get kicked off, you're not going to be caring about them either. So you're entering a spiral of you're eventually going to kick off most people, like we said.
Yeah,
Your algorithms are gonna get so complex. You're gonna see distasteful things all the time, and even what we could consider moderate positions now will be considered bad in the future, and so those people will eventually get kicked off. And so, yeah, like I said, it's just gonna cycle down. You're gonna kick off the people you were trying to appease in the first place.
They're calling themselves moderators in chief.
it's a bit presumptuous of them, isn't it?
I think a little. We are witnessing a massive shift in the whole idea of the internet from an open platform for discussion of ideas to something that must be moderated and editorialized. The Spectator. Brendan, fuck off. Sorry, but fuck off.
Mm.
It's so they've decided that at this point they're just basically finding reasons to justify why they should be in charge of everything people say by cherry picking a couple of statements that have shifted from time. And users and governments are questioning the censorial powers and responsibilities of tech firms. How dare they? They're questioning Google.
Yeah, no, that very last one, the Kavlev from Forbes, that guy, is actually anti what this entire thing has been saying. You'll have to scroll up to see it.
Sorry.
Sorry,
The web is evolving from its roots as the anti-censorship platform of free speech and towards the very corporate-controlled moderated medium, beholden to the commercial and government interests that it rebelled against.
Yeah, it is becoming exactly that.
Yes, so we don't grow the
That's
censorship,
a bad
we
thing.
crop that shit back. When you're gardening, you crop the unruly fucking shit out of stuff to make it into it just anyway. Tech companies are under fire for creating problems instead of solving them. Google and Facebook are making decisions about who gets a digital megaphone and who should be unplugged from the web. Yes, their amount of conceived authority resembles the divine right of kings and is sparking a backlash that is still gathering force. 2017, yeah, damn right. That's absolutely damn right. They are under fire. People are no longer willing to see the platforms as neutral mediators of social life, whether it's fake news or the acknowledgement of widespread behavioural targeting during elections. I think there will be much more of a push to hold the platforms to account.
I just hate the fact that they put these up here blatantly, like to show a certain point, and then that one where saying who should decide who gets unplugged from the web? That means that the people who put this together, the people who it's targeted at, it's like, yes, we should have the ability to silence the people. Just cause.
Well, yeah, this
we're
is it.
us.
What they're doing is they're painting themselves a very nice picture of how they're under fire and how they're being forced and pushed into a
Who
position
gave
that
them
they
the
didn't.
right?
Nobody's giving them the right. What they're doing is they're painting the picture of how they're being forced into assuming and grabbing the power that they've always had, but they've never wanted to let people realise that they control all the flow of information. And that they are in control of it, and they're being forced into a position of control by the mean things that people are saying to them over the last few years. This is a narrative they're spinning here. It's unclear whether Facebook knows the extent of the collateral damage that's coming from its censorship strategies, or the other companies as well, but we do know that journalism, activism and the public debate are being silenced in the effort to stamp out extremist speech. With these companies having so much power over the public discourse, they need to be held accountable. Oof, yeah. Stop censoring the shit and you won't be held accountable for why you're censoring stuff.
Yeah, like the only people who complain about, things being up are people who are having been critiqued.
And
or
here, I know.
Yeah, it's only those people who are coming up to you and saying, "Oh, why is this content on your site?" And all you had to do was turn around and say, "We didn't post that content. Ask the user who did."
Now they've come for a massive conflation. You're reading this. Being critical of big tech censorship was once a niche stance. Niche stance? It was a very widespread stance coming from the right. What? Oh, Jesus. So yeah, now anybody that talks about free speech is right wing.
Yep.
Yeah, they've been setting that one up for months though.
Yeah. Not that the Nazis and the fascists were massively censorious bastards and controlled the media on a tight grip, of course. Speaking about free speech, that makes you a Nazi or right-winger.
Are you there, Trig?
I'm here.
You
We
keep
lost you
cutting
for a
out.
moment.
I don't know whether that's because you're streaming this shit or whether it's
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's alright, my mouse stopped working for a second there as well, it was weird. Anyway,
They're on to you. They're clamping down.
Yeah, they're
I
onto
know,
us.
I know. I'm just looking for no more red dots, but they can't see through this window anyway, so I'm good. So yes, now the calls for the regulation. And if you look at who's calling for the regulation. These aren't the right wing. These aren't the ones that were noticed before. These are the Guardian and Wired and ZDNet and these are left. So the left wing is calling for media-esque regulations. The right wing is calling for freedom of speech. While platforms citing section reduced liability of content that thrives on its platform. So yes.
And who do you support when you take the right's position, and who do you support if you take the left's position? Because when you take the left-wing position and you start censoring people, all you do is amplify the left's position and solidify them. If you take the right's position, everyone wins.
Which means the left loses.
No.
They have more to lose at the moment.
Yes, they have more to lose if they if no one censors the right wing. Sure, it's less that they have less to lose, but they have more to gain. It's less about losing anything and more about solidifying their own position into absolute mainstream and making it inaccessible to be anything else.
And then this clear-thinking chap makes this statement. Jeffrey Rosen. The platforms have to deny that they're media companies in order to retain their immunity from liability. But at the same time, they're exercising more influence as media companies than CBS News did in its heyday. And therefore, in order for democratic values to flourish, they need to embrace free speech standards. Quite right, sir.
But
Damn
they don't
right.
want democratic values to flourish. That's the point. They only want the people they agree with to speak.
You're
That's their version of democracy.
yes, you're making an assertion of who they are and what they believe in. I'm being as generous as I can without going down this. So then the balancing act is free speech for all and civil for most is proving difficult. The answer is not the right amount of censorship and stick to it, but be more consistent.
I'd
So
still
here are
argue
the
that
9
most
principles.
being
This is what I wanted to get
civil.
to because this is the end of it, basically. This
All right.
is their 9 principles to kickstart the journey to good censorship. God help us. And as I said, these are going to sound quite reasonable. Be more consistent. Don't take sides. People are asking for equal treatment regardless of politics or popularity. The rules are invisible, and what makes it so complicated is that there are rules, yet they seem arbitrarily applied. Why does Richard Spencer get booted from Twitter, yet Donald Trump managed to continue having a platform? I think there is a feeling that the space is being governed, yet the rules are not clear. Don't take sides. Interesting point.
Yeah.
Police tone instead of content. People are asking you to oversee the safe spaces and still encourage debate. My recommendation is you focus on regulating tone. If someone is threatening someone, regardless of the topic, that's something that a lot of people can agree on and has no place online. I think that's the least politically precarious position. Hey, look, if you threaten someone, or if you threaten someone's life, it gets pulled. If you just argue with each other, then that's fine. Again,
Yep.
Yeah,
How
but
they-
that's a slippery slope if I ever heard one.
I was going to say, well done, yes.
I
These
mean,
are
it's to quote someone, it's like the day-to-day grind of being called you a liar. Yeah, should that
It's-
be called?
it's the yeah that you it's how can I put it?
Okay, yes, people should still be allowed to lie as.
People should still be allowed to lie. People should be allowed to have
Even
bants.
if the lie is calling
My
someone
point
else a
being
liar.
that someone might be calling you a liar when you're being completely honest,
Yeah.
and then you still get booted off.
It's like when do you describe what is threatening? Speech is violence according to some people.
Well, no, I think threats are threats.
Yeah.
I think it's very hard to
I think
slope that.
like I said,
But-
these are going to sound really reasonable. Really reasonable.
It doesn't sound reasonable though if you read it twice. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's it exactly.
What do you mean? You're gonna have to explain this. I don't think I follow.
Please tone instead of content.
If I were to say to you, go kill yourself, go jump off a bridge, am I threatening you?
One sec.
Oh God, he's actually doing it. No, come back, please. Well, okay, now I've just made it really awkward.
Yeah. Not a time to jump off after that. But anyway.
Shall we move on?
Let's
No,
Oh, no,
oh,
he's
sorry,
Oh,
sorry,
you're
I'm back.
You're there.
Right, sorry about that.
So yeah, all I'm
yeah,
saying
so-
is, am I threatening you if I say those things to you? We're just banting, right?
If you type KYS, then yeah. But or if you say, "Oh, kill yourself," again, very very specific tone. If you go,
I
kill yourself,
strongly
kill yourself,
disagree
right?
on the context
Fucking
of
die.
being able to establish tone with text.
And how do you when you've got so much information being poured up onto the internet?
I mean,
You don't automate these things.
Exactly.
okay, so you want Google to hire half of the population to moderate the other half?
How many people say
Hmm.
kill yourself every day?
I don't know. I dread to think.
And if you genuinely think that that's a threat, if you genuinely think, hey, this isn't good, then you'll report it, obviously.
Okay,
it's-
dude, I think it's even more than that. Because they're going to go down the lines of trying to make an AI that can do this when even humans can't consistently
Yeah.
interpret tone.
Yeah, this is going
Well-
to be algorithmically and AI controlled. There's no doubt about that. There will be human oversight for a while until they can get an AI that does it all perfectly all the time and that gets no complaints. But until then, yeah, it's going to be a bit of both. But it's the overall picture. Let's push on a little.
So, again, I guess if I said it, what would you want done about that?
Nothing.
Really?
What? No, you're free to think what you want.
Okay, not kill yourself. I'm going to kill you.
Well, then I'm going to punch you in the face. What's your point?
It's.
All right.
I
An
don't.
eye for an eye just leaves everyone
don't know.
blind.
I was going to say at the end of the day, like I said, it's going to sound reasonable. Police tone instead of content. Don't police people making threats rather than actually just having an argument. It sounds reasonable. It does sound reasonable. But yeah, you've got problems with identifying banter, and
Look, I think that the simplest way to sort of sum this up is, and you may disagree with me on this, and that's fine, but I believe that it's okay for 7 guilty people to go free to prevent one innocent man going to prison.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well.
Absolutely.
I just also agree that someone doesn't want constant death threats,
I agree with that too.
and that's fair.
Yes, but then there's death threats, and then there's actual death threats.
Okay,
There's
yeah,
There's the block button, there's the report button, and then
yes,
should be all
that's
the
what I
rest
was
of it.
literally just about to say. Is I'm not talking about when it comes to Google automating it. I'm saying there should be other ways for these
Yeah.
users who are receiving this to deal with those problems.
Ways to
Cultural
empower
educate
the
them to be able
individual.
to take it.
Ways to empower the individual rather than anything
Yes.
else.
Yeah.
We don't want to
Yeah,
empower the
and-
organisation, we want to empower the individual here. Again,
And make them feel strong, not weak.
yes, empower the individual is
Yes, again,
encompassed with that
all
statement.
right, we're just reiterating the same point. Let's move on.
Yeah. Enforcing standards and policies clearly. Yes, absolutely. Right. Again, people are asking for clearer explanations of censorship policies. Why does this, what was her name, get employed by CNN when she's making horrifyingly racist statements about kill all white men or something or other? When, somebody else gets booted off the platform for calling something retarded, say for example. What's going off there? Explain the technology. What? Sorry.
What example are you trying to give here?
I don't know. It's just something that floated through my head. I'm sure I heard it happened to somebody at some point.
I'm sure.
Fuck's
sake.
Explain the tech.
croissant.
Croissant. People are telling you to tell them more about how your technology actually works. I don't know if anybody's...
We've lost you, Trig.
Have you lost me?
Yeah, we
you're back.
lost you. Yeah, but we can read it.
I'm
It's
back.
fine. Just continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the stream actually working? Am I streaming?
I'm assuming that's a Discord thing.
I'm
Because
assuming it's a Discord
apparently
thing.
we can hear you on the stream just fine.
Okay, right. Well, I'm just going to bash on. So explain the technology. Yeah, explain your algorithms. I'm sure that will help lots of people. Justify global positions. People are asking you to continue justifying your position regarding censorship in other markets. US-based IT monopolies are already attempting to compromise themselves in order to gain entrance to vast and fast-growing markets. The dictatorial leaders in these countries may be only too happy to collaborate with them since they want to improve their methods of control over their own populations and expand their power and influence in the United States and the rest of the world. Quotes George Soros. George Soros is absolutely correct in this instance. Yes, large US-based companies working hand in hand with countries like China to censor their population. It's a difficult one to justify, and Google are a little bit iffy in what they're doing over there, in my personal opinion. Yes, there's lots of monies there, but it's literally, they are literally putting buck before their own ethos, and I think that's a shame. Are you guys there? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm listening in.
Cool.
I'm just sitting here pondering whether, when Soros says this, if he's saying he supports it or he's against it.
Well, he's just saying that this is happening, so it's George Soros. I probably imagine he's in whichever the most evil position is, he's the one taking it. But I don't disagree with what he said there. And
No.
yes, it's a matter of money being used instead of.
Fortunately, this is one where he's not giving his opinion. This is simply him stating the fact.
He's stating a
The
fact.
fact is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Improved communications. People are asking for responsive customer service when it comes to censored contact and complaints about bad behavior online. So yeah, when you take somebody's video down, etc. We can fight terror without sacrificing our personal rights. Oh, yeah, this
Yes.
one, yeah. They need to be more transparent about their enforcement mechanism, and they need to have a clear grievance appeal mechanism so people can get their content reinstated if it's not. He's absolutely right. Sometimes people's videos can disappear off forever, etc. And they get very little feedback. And they take the, like I said, these are all going to sound great. Yeah, people are asking for you to acknowledge the scope of the problems in good time and own up to your responsibilities as both a cause and solution. So yes, be more responsive, be more empowering, and they love that word. Positive guidelines. People are asking for guidance on how to behave on your platform rather than solely on how not to. Ugh. Better signposts. People are asking for empowering tools that help them identify contentious issues and content rather than platforms that control conversations. So they're looking for being able to find ways of segmenting stuff away from view to a degree with better signposts. So I don't want to deal with those horrible people that say this horrible
Voluntary
idea.
echo chambers.
So they're pushing towards echo chambers with the empowerment. They're all very difficult to argue with, and they all sound very reasonable, as I said. And if those guidelines were taken in the most decent manner, I wouldn't have a problem with them. But the interpretations I would take from them is every single one of these is to allow for the user to take responsibility for their own content and tailor it accordingly. What they're going to do is use this to tone police and content police down to where the user is comfortable with.
Just gently nudge them in the right direction.
Constant
The
nudging.
direction that Google.
Yeah. It's the whole if I've got
It's very insidious in the same way.
Yes, if I've got a personal space issue, personal boundaries, and I'm standing in a room, and I'm standing in the middle of the room, and if anyone gets within 2 foot of me, I will feel uncomfortable. Yeah, which is fairly normal for most people. And so if someone walks up to me and stands within 2 foot of me, I'm going to take a little step backwards. He's not getting right in my face and being aggressive, but I'm going to step backwards, whether consciously or unconsciously, probably unconsciously, and he's taken. He's starting to encroach on my space, and if he takes a little inch further towards me, without noticing it, whilst his back's turned, he just inches slightly back. Yeah, you take a step back. You can do it to anybody at any time. You can push people across a room without them even realizing that they're being pushed across the room, and this is what they're doing here. They're slowly nudging. Oh, that's. We don't like you saying it that way. Say it nicer. We don't like you saying these things. Well, there's a perception of harassment or whatever from these people. They think you're being insulting, so say it a slightly different way. And you're tone policed, and suddenly you find words don't mean what they mean, and your content and tone policed into only one way of thinking.
It actually kind of reminds me of an old psychology experiment I remember reading about back in the day, where they put monkeys in a cage, like a group of monkeys, or an enclosure, rather, not a cage.
Right.
And there was like a treat on the other side. But whenever the monkeys went near it, all the monkeys that didn't go near it got sprayed with water. Over time, the monkeys basically started self-regulating themselves. So then they started introducing new monkeys and slowly cycling out the old monkeys. So you ended up ultimately with a group of monkeys that had never seen the punishment. Yet if any of them tried to go take the treat, the others will pull them back.
Yes.
They don't know why they're doing it, but they've been conditioned to do that.
Yes. And that's
what they're trying to turn the general populace into. Self-regulation.
So I'm going to take a quick intermission. I'm going to run downstairs and make a quick cup of coffee because I'm gasping for a drink. And whilst we're there, we're going to knock this one on the head, and we're going to take a quick break for some silly news before we get into something particularly horrifying. I've seen a couple of little bits appear in the news. Hello, have you lost me again? There we go. No, we're good.
Silly news. Is this the Stephen Miller thing?
Oh dear. Yeah,
Oh.
I think this would be best
Ooh.
to stick to.
Let's
Oh,
let's have a quick look through this. And Stasi, you're aware of this story, aren't you?
Yeah, do you want me to read through it? I won't be able to obviously control on screen,
No,
but
you won't. But I will. I'll give a quick sort of. We've seen the face. We'll put the other face up there because that's the person we're dealing with, really, isn't it? I think.
Yep.
There we go. I'm a horrible transphobe. Yes, no, I'm not. But I think in this case, people need to be protected. So, Stasi, why don't you take it away whilst I make a quick cup of coffee?
right. So in BBC News today, we have in England a trans inmate jailed for a Wakefield prison sex offences. This person had previously been arrested and charged for rape offences against women. They, at some point, either within their trial, within their jailment, or whenever, they have transitioned to becoming a woman, and they were placed within a female prison, and they have gone on to rape a couple
what
other
was
women.
the sentence when they were put in the women's prison?
The sentence was, I believe it was 9 years.
Yeah. Okay. So
I always
continue
thought
the story with that information.
I always thought that sending someone to prison is meant to be a punishment for them.
Yeah,
Not the
unfortunately, this is like
Fox amongst the hen coop, I think is
Yeah.
the phrase that springs to mind. Yeah.
they just threw him right in there, without a second thought.
Yep.
It's
Well, okay. So you mentioned the 9 years. Now, what happened from there with that?
well, I'm gonna try and read through rather than just speak off cuff. But so, Karen White must serve a minimum of 9 years for rape, sexual assault, and wounding.
Yeah.
Wait, wounding in the act of
Yeah.
Don't just
Oh.
and poor girls. Yes.
A transgender prisoner who
Oh, wait,
sexually
these are the
assaulted.
innocent ones. Never mind. Less funny.
Yeah. A transgender prisoner who sexually assaulted 2 inmates at a women's jail had previously raped 2 other women has been given a life sentence.
Where?
Karen White- yeah, in England somewhere.
Where's the
West
life
Yorkshire.
sentence
West
though?
Yorkshire.
Where's the life sentence leaving them held?
Doesn't say.
Is it
Yeah,
by any
let me
chance
read.
another women's prison though?
Let me read through it because I hadn't actually fully read through it. I just saw the
You don't know the story. You lied.
I looked through it and it's just the funniest shit.
It's
It's
the justice
horrible.
system's gone insane.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway, let me read through. So Karen White attacked 2 women in 2017 while on remand at HMP Newhall in Wakefield for other offences. White, 52, who is transitioning was described as a predator who was a danger to women and children. She must serve
Out of curiosity, are we paying for this transition?
Yeah, we'll be paying for
Yeah,
this transition
probably.
as
NHS.
taxpayers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just repeat what I said before. Going to prison is supposed to be a punishment.
Yes, it's supposed to be a number of things.
The court heard White, who was born male and now identifies as a woman, used her transgender persona to put herself in contact with vulnerable women. Yeah, no shit. Yeah,
Imagine my shock.
imagine my shock. The previously convicted rapist was using his transgender persona to rape other people.
Yeah, persona. Yeah, that's what he used.
Yes. Yes, that's right. That's what he calls his
yes.
penis. You're right, correct. That's it. So he's
In the woman's prison.
So
does this guy have transgender privilege?
he certainly, well, I don't know what privilege he's got, but basically he's
like
raped a bunch of chicks. He's then been sent to jail, transitioned to a woman, and gone to a female jail, and then raped a bunch of chicks there, and he's been given a life sentence, I believe, in a women's prison. So literally frigging Christmas time for him.
For life. They're trapped with him.
Sorry.
Maybe this is a ploy to make all those women like behave well to get out sooner, so they actually reform. If they offend again, guess who they'll end up next to?
Well, I did mention that when we were talking about this earlier, that this could be used to reduce the crime rates.
Well, it could. You know
Trig
what?
had
It
an
could
even more
also be an
brilliant
equality
observation.
move. It could also be an equality move. The rape statistics in male prisons versus female prisons is strongly in favour of male prisons. I think throwing a few people in with the women to rape them for equality might be
the wrong type of equality.
I am kidding, of course. This is absolutely freaking horrifying, but good God. Anyway, so that was funny in the news. Also in crazy news in England, we have naked jam-smeared women in Manchester claiming that sitting naked on a park bench covered in jam is art. Not sure about.
How many crimes can you get away with by saying it's art?
I guess that was a bit of a sorry.
I don't know. It's crazy.
I mean,
it's idiotic. I found
why are
it.
you even surprised?
I'm
You know,
I'm not
after
I'm
that
not surprised.
episode-
This I've seen since modern art. To be honest, art used to be about beauty. It used to be about edifying nature
It used to be
beauty.
about passion, skill, and
Then-
effort.
yeah.
It's Manchester?
Yeah.
It used to be
Well,
that if
I
a
mean,
message was worth
obviously it's because of Brexit.
Oh.
if a message was worth expressing, it was worth putting effort, energy, passion, creativity. If you make it so anyone can say anything with any message, you lower the value of every piece of art the world over.
Yeah, I'm not willing to call
not
two naked
necessarily,
chicks
but-
covered in jam art. It's just an utter.
The fact it's put up against such works as the Mona Lisa, another work of art, lowers the value of art the world over. I'm sorry.
Is that how lowly you value women? You
Fair
find
enough. I mean-
them to be less of a work of art if they're
It's
real than if they're painted?
It's nonsense. It's some light-hearted nonsense. But I wanted to do this quickly because we've actually got quite a lot of fairly heavy news to quickly
Man,
go
what a
through.
polite way of saying shut up.
Well, we're just trying to get through that first thing to
We're just trying to
exploit
get through,
you.
just to have a quick sort of break from the Google, have a bit of lightheartedness because we've actually had a really horrifyingly crazy week of news.
Let's have a quick break from Google, he says, whilst broadcasting on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was the Google Good Censor thing here. I was just actually delete it. Why is my computer jamming up like this at the moment?
Go on.
This is bonkers at the moment. Something's going off. Anyway, because I don't know if anyone's been following the news as of late.
Nope.
But there's been some fairly bonkers things happening. Let's get a better picture of that.
You might need to zoom it out a bit.
Hold on a second. No,
Yeah,
well,
Jesus Christ, we can't see shit.
Also,
Yeah.
we can't hear you.
God, what's going on? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Welcome back.
I'm having some weird stuff going off at this end, and things are jumping around. No,
As
no,
I
no,
said,
no. This is
Google's
nothing.
coming for you. They're
it's-
shutting you down.
It's literally my. I don't know.
Yeah, it's because you still had Breaking Bread on the side, so
Yeah,
so now it's fixed a little bit
yeah.
better.
I've widened the stance on it, and in fact.
Oh, and you put your trigger happy in the background. Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it looks like. Anyway.
That's what I did. Uh,
Not
Right.
trying to scare you, dude, but I actually see a red dot now on your stream.
cool. Good. No, we've had some weird shit happen of late, and this one happened a couple of days ago, and it seemed to slip by almost every news. I mean, Bloomberg's put an article up about it, but the head of Interpol, who was a Chinese citizen who had got himself a position as the head of Interpol. Haiku for China in terms of international sort of camaraderie and working in terms of policing the world from bad people and terrorists, etc. He went over to China the other day, and pretty much the last we heard from him was a text that he sent over to his wife with a little dagger emoji in there,
Oh.
and then he disappeared. Interpol asked China to clarify the status of the law enforcement group's president amidst press reports that he'd been arrested in his own country.
Got unpersoned.
He got unpersoned. We're not quite sure exactly how or why at this point, but after a 40-year policing and criminal justice career,
Boomer, your volume is kind of cutting in and out.
it's not me,
Discord.
dude. The whole thing's fucking
Oh.
freaking out on me at the moment. I'm not quite sure what's going off.
Probably a Windows update.
You're probably right, to be honest. It's probably Windows updating or something in the background kicking off. Anyway, no, here we go. After a 40-year policing criminal justice career, Meng is also China's Deputy Minister for Public Security. His experience ranges from narcotics control to counter-terrorism, according to Interpol's website. After being elected to the head of the Global Policing Agency in November 2016, Meng took a particular interest in cybercrime. His term was due to expire in 2020. He alerted his wife and the French authorities, leading to the opening of a probe. Europe1 reported this week without specifying how he had obtained the information. Meng's family hadn't received any news from him since the September the 29th Department for China, according to Europe1. No one at the French presidency was available for comment, and the Chinese officials didn't respond to a fax and phone calls for information on Meng's whereabouts on Friday. They disappeared the head of Interpol, and haven't really given much of a statement as to why. Now that was Bloomberg on Friday, and I had a look on the New York Times. They also mentioned this, and again, same story. Quick media statement from Interpol, basically stating that they are swearing a new person in for the remaining 2 years, and are going to obviously carry on but they are still. The statement about his detention and stepping down came a day after Interpol demanded answers from the Chinese government on the whereabouts of Mr. Meng, who was reported missing on Thursday. Nothing. The detention is an audacious step by the party, even by the stunt. Yeah, audacious is right. Audacious, rather. Yeah, well, audacious is one way of putting it. This is quite bizarre and frightening news in many respects. I'm surprised I struggle to find this as a a tiny notice. Oh, by the way, this colossal news has happened whilst everyone was busy screaming about the Kavanaugh case and various other little bits of basically trivia in comparison to. You don't just vanish the head of Interpol. That's gigantic. But that's not the only thing that's been going off, because over in Belgium.
Okay, this is getting pretty bad
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
Trig.
Well,
Yeah,
to
we
tie it all
physically can't follow
to
you.
tie it all together, censorship is being done by Chinese Google in order to keep. We made this full circle. Beautiful.
Ooh, you're right. This is breaking up really badly, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
You want to try giving it a restart nudge?
No,
Restart nudge. I'm not quite sure how to restart.
Have you tried restarting it?
Is that not a thing you can do? I don't know a lot about live streams, I admit.
I don't know if I can stop and start it. It becomes a separate stream. But it's weird. We're okay now. We're talking now. I'm just going to close a few windows.
Thanks for
Interpol
having
is
me on.
cutting off our stream and poisoning Der Stasi.
Yep. But
Yes.
yeah, I do have to call it a night, unfortunately, guys.
Okay, we're
So-
going to wind it up,
Dude.
yeah. Because
It-
that's terrifying, because the moment I start talking about this too much, oh my god. So yeah,
Discord is actually a Chinese
wow, we'll
Well,
wrap it
we
up at
can
this
test
point.
this.
And
we
what?
can do a quick test, Trig. Start saying very positive things about certain companies and people.
You know
and see
what?
if it gets
I'm
better.
I'm not even going to try that. I'm going to I want to talk about these things because these are kind of freaky. They are
Yeah,
very
it's kind of
very
been working
weird stuff. It's working now, isn't it?
since we gave up. Yeah, since we gave up on talking about Interpol.
Yeah, as soon as you
and-
brought that.
and-
Yeah, it's. Oh. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you all later.
All right, dude.
And, I'll be
Right,
ready for
dude.
Saturday stream. Everyone be there.
Cool.
Goodbye,
Cool.
Chinese agent that sabotaged our stream is
Yes,
making his
I am.
escape.
Yeah.
I'm the Chinese agent.
All right.
It's all
Okay.
along I've been breaking your connection.
Trust the American to be unable to tell what country someone's from.
You know what? We're going to leave it there. It's a shame, but damn, my internet is going bananas at the moment. And I'm going to close a load of this down whilst I'm talking, because once it's all closed down, it is getting better. It's fine now, isn't it? We don't have a problem now.
Yep.
As far as I
You're
can
back.
tell.
So I had a newspaper article about EU corruption and a Bulgarian girl who
Now we're
was
really going to be cut out.
really horribly assaulted and murdered. That was investigating EU corruption. I had something about spies. I had something about the Saudis bumping off that journalist. We had a couple of pages that opened there, and
Oh,
they were all interesting, really heavy news articles. And the moment I closed them all down, it all starts working again. The fact that they were open was killing the communication
Oh.
stream.
Did you not have anything about the army bits?
Anything about the what? Sorry,
Did
Tommy
you not hear
Robinson.
about that?
the Tommy Robinson thing. Yes, I did. Yeah, that's regardless of how people feel about Tommy Robinson, I don't think anybody in the armed forces should be arrested for taking a photograph.
Were they actually arrested in the end?
Well, not arrested, but one of these guys has been kicked out of the armed forces. He's been kicked out. That's a disgrace. These are lads that are probably very likely to be coming from very, poor working class backgrounds. Tommy Robinson is probably quite likely a fairly sort of popular name as far as they're concerned, and it's hardly surprising that these lads will have.
Kicked out of the army for not thinking the right thing.
Oh,
effectively.
it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace, and it's going to throw distrust between the enlisted men, and well, not enlisted, but the non-commissioned officers and the officers. That is a fine and strong bond of trust between officers and their men. You do not undermine it for any reason, especially not stupid political reasons. What the hell they are doing there, I have no idea. Yeah, let them have their little folk heroes.
I'm
Tommy
just
Robinson
very much...
is an interesting subject, and I suggest anybody that's got any interest, look into the man, read and listen to what he's got to say and what people have got to say against him. And I'm going to say no more than that, because he describes himself very well, and other people and the way they have portrayed him becomes very obvious that it's a mischaracterization, in my opinion. But
I mean, I just feel really bad for the people who are being kicked out because of this. I mean, I've spent a fair amount of time in the Midlands and Wales, and unfortunately for a lot of these young lads, this is the only line of work they really have available to them, because
Yeah.
they're in towns that used to be mining towns,
yeah,
and the mines have all shut down.
I know.
And they genuinely wanted to be there and like be good lads, and help the country and defend, the
Yeah.
borders and all that.
And they've been punished for this. It's a right disgrace, but yeah.
Moral of the story: the British Army is not done oppressing people.
The moral of the story is that political influence shouldn't be involved in the training and disciplining of the squaddies. They shouldn't be getting involved in that, and it shouldn't be inflicted upon them. I think on that subject, they're being punished unjustly, and
It reminded me very much of a certain drill sergeant.
oh, the drill sergeant that was mean to the girl and made her cry.
Yeah, didn't he get kicked out as well?
I don't remember exactly. I think actually they defended him in the end. But yeah, it was a tricky one. But we seem to have stabilised the stream now. Do you want to?
You wanna try opening some tabs?
Well, we can push on a little, because let's not get heavy into
You can just open one tab at
the
a
spy
time.
conspiracy stuff and so on. Because
Yeah, but I still have to head off, so
Alright, dude.
I'll talk to you guys later.
What are you
I'll
still
pair on
here?
other streams, and
Cool.
I'll talk later, guys. Bye.
alright, dude.
All right,
Catch you
take care, dude.
Take care. Because Sargon's been talking to Steve Bannon.
Really?
Sargon of Akkad has been talking to Steve Bannon.
On any particular topic?
They had a meeting. They had there's a video of him up. He's having a chat for about 50 minutes with Steve Bannon. It was actually quite the video. Wasn't going to go through it in any detail, but it's something that was worth watching. And well, yeah, no, and oh God, have you seen the Kanye West talking to Donald Trump?
I heard of that. I haven't seen it, but to be honest, I'm not surprised.
You know what? that I wouldn't mind having a look at, because that was funny. Actually, you know what? Also, not just funny, it was really good. It was really quite the impressive speech, sort of. I mean, Kanye's a bit bonkers. I'm just saying. He's definitely a bit off the wall. Oh God, it's going again.
It's
going.
happening again.
Yeah, you know what?
They're coming for us.
You know what? We're not going to. I'm going to call it a night at this point, because I've got issues. My computer's spinning up and blowing its fans like crazy, which is bonkers. So there may be an update or something that's screwing my computer up. We've been on for a couple of hours. We've been through a bit. I might end up making a video on this, what seems to be going off with regards to the spy games that seem to be going off in the world. Because there's a lot of people been disappearing and vanishing in various countries and being bumped off in various countries that no one seems to be taking any notice of because they're more interested in Kanye West talking to Donald Trump and Brett Kavanaugh being a horrible monster because somebody might have been assaulted by him 36 years ago but only just remembered. And no one else remembers. And it's
Maybe.
and don't look at the nearly $1 million she's been given to soothe her pain of the thing. Anyway, that's a whole other issue. It's been fun. I need to probably restart my computer because it's gone. I don't know what I don't know what the fuck. Has there been an update recently? Am I?
No, but I believe the technical term you're looking for is Kaputski.
Maybe even Fubar.
Oh, that might be going a bit too far. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, dude.
It was getting towards it a little bit there. I don't know why. It was I was having issues with memory. I'll have to have a look and see what's up. But it's been fun. Good night, everyone, and thank you for watching. If you're still here, my condolences, I guess. Take it easy. Good night, and smash that like button.